Welcome everyone to the Black Book Show virtual book tour. I am the founder of the Black Book Show and the host of the Black Book Show alongside Auntie Jean. This is a collaboration between the Black Book Show and Auntie Jean's African Culture Market. It happens once a month. Normally it's the last Sunday of the month, but this particular month we're doing it a week earlier. There's a book festival I plan to be at next week. But in terms of the Black Book Show, so this platform has been running now for over 3 years. And it's a really great platform. Over the last 3 years, I've had between 300 and 300 authors of African heritage from all over the world. Some of them are based in England, other parts of Europe, some are in USA, Canada, Africa, the Caribbean, Australia, different parts of the world. And how it runs is a 3-hour show, and during the show, authors come on the platform and they get an opportunity to talk about the book they've written. Sometimes also publishers and people that sell books as well, people that are related into the book industry. But in generally, it's mainly consists of authors or people who have got book-related services. So the authors or speakers will come on the platform. Some authors get 15 minutes, some speakers speak for 10 minutes, but authors will come on for a certain period of time and they will basically give you a preview, a taste of what their book is. We feature authors that have written different genres. So you will hear on the Black Book Show, on this episode, you will hear authors, that have written from a variety of different topics, and also authors that are at different stages of their journey. Some authors have written several books, some have been award-winning best-selling authors, and then we also, feature new authors, up-and-coming authors, and people that are on the rise. So before I begin, I would just like to say, this show is being recorded. It's on Facebook Live. I will be sharing the link for those who are not in the Zoom. I'll also be sharing it in the Black Book Show Facebook group. It's on Black Culture Radio, and it will be going on Pete English Literature YouTube channel after the event at a later stage as well. Shout out to Peter. We have Peter from Pete English Literature YouTube channel, and he will be speaking later on during the show. Just a few house rules. If you're not speaking, please can you mute yourself so we don't hear any background noise. You don't have to have, particularly for authors I'm speaking to now, you don't have to have your camera if you're on the Zoom call throughout the whole duration of the show, just during the time that you are, during the time that you're speaking. So I'm now gonna pass it on to the first speaker, the first author who's going to be speaking on this episode of the Black Book Show, the Black Book Show virtual book tour, October 2023. This is Sharon Austin. And Sharon Austin, I'd like to welcome you again onto the Black Book Show. Sharon has been on the Black Book Show virtual book tour previous times. I think it's twice she's been on the virtual book tour, and she's also featured on the radio show and the podcast as well. A couple of times when I've interviewed her, also I think a few times I've interviewed her about her books. So Sharon, welcome again onto the Black Book Show virtual book tour. Please start by introducing yourself, telling us where you're based, and then go on to talk about the book that you've written.
Hello, everybody. It's always an honor and a pleasure to be on the Black Book Show. I can tell you just a little bit about myself briefly. My name is Sharon Austin. I'm a professor of political science and also African American studies at the University of Florida, and I've been teaching there since 2001. This is my 5th book that I'll be talking about today. This is my 3rd appearance on the Black Book Show, and hopefully I'll be able to be on the Black Book Show again within the next few months or so, because I have my first children's book coming out. I'm a married mother of 2 teenagers. My oldest is 18 and has a severe form of autism. And I've just recently written a book called Alan Learns to Talk, in which I'll be talking about just the journey that my family went through when my son was nonverbal. And it's a very uplifting book. So hopefully if Makonnen allows me to come back again, when I publish that book, I'll be able to come back and appear on the show again. But I know I only have a few minutes, so I just want to talk a little bit about the book that I have. I was on the show last month talking about a book that I've written, Political Black Girl Magic, that talks about Black female mayors in America. And today I want to share my screen and just show you, I guess I can't share my screen, but I have the book right here. And the title of it is Beyond Racial Capitalism, Cooperatives in the African Diaspora. And so this is the book that I'll be talking about today. It was published by Oxford University Press, but you can also find it on Amazon and just other places as well. And the way that I like to talk about my work is that my work is, it's kind of academic, but really it isn't, because
But Sharon, just
anyone.
before you go on, I just want to say I have enabled screen sharing in
Oh,
case you do
okay.
want to share your screen.
Yeah, I wanted to just show you so this is a copy of the way the book looks: Beyond Racial Capitalism, Cooperatives in the Diaspora and Diaspora. And it's an edited book, which means that each chapter was written by different authors. And the main editor is a good friend of mine that I've known for many years, who is a professor at the University of Toronto, and her name is Caroline Hussein. She edited the book with me, along with Professor Kevin Edmonds, who also lives in Toronto, Canada. So this is basically just the way the book looks. And with the book, I want to just tell you a little bit about what it's about. Some of you probably are already familiar with this, but I just learned about cooperative economies just a few years ago and was fascinated by the work of Dr. Hussein. She is published widely on this, and I was really honored when she allowed me. I'll go ahead and stop the share, but when she invited me to participate in this project with her. So I'll just read a little bit about what the book is about and then tell you in more detail about it. So if you look at the back of the book, it has a really good description of what we're doing. We are looking at cooperatives or cooperative economies, and we also call it solidarity economics. And so basically, to summarize what it means, is when people of color, but especially women of color, come together and they pool their resources. And these are countries where, in many cases, they have been the targets of economic discrimination, political discrimination, and they engage in money pools, is what we would call in America, as a way to pool their money together and save money together. And it shows just the power of women. Many of them are poor women, but many of them are from all walks of life, to pool their resources together to help each other, to help their families, and to help their communities. It shows how women just throughout history have been able to empower themselves, even when they don't have very much money, even when they're targets of various forms of discrimination. They're able to work together and support each other. And so that's what this is about. So I'll just read really briefly what it says on the back cover of the book. Systemic racism and economic exclusion create an environment where the pooling of resources becomes a way to cope and to resist an elitist-driven capitalist system. This book examines cooperatives, member-owned institutions, through the lens of racial capitalism, a concept that political scientist Cedric Robinson, that has meaning for African diaspora residents who must navigate, often secretly, and in groups, the complexities of business and society. After reading each chapter, readers will become enlightened about minority business exclusion, systemic racism, and efforts for economic empowerment, especially among Black women. These social innovations by Black people living outside of Africa who build cooperative economies go largely unnoticed. If they are noted, they are demoted to an informal activity and rationalized as having limited potential to bring about social change. The sheer determination of the Black diaspora to organize and to build cooperatives that are explicitly anti-racist and rooted in mutual aid, equity, and reciprocity is an important lesson in making business ethical and inclusive. So what it means is that these are women in various countries who pool their resources together, so that they can save money, so that they can help each other, so that they can fight racism, so that they can fight their political exclusion and also their economic exclusion. So that's the gist of what this book is about. And so I want to just talk a little bit about what each chapter is about. The introduction is entitled Taking Note of Informality in an Era of Racial Capitalism. And in some countries, and even in America and in other countries as well, for many years in the past and present, it was known that Black people couldn't get loans, that women couldn't get loans. And so as a result, in a lot of countries, women were able to work together to pool their money together to help each other when they needed it. And so that's what the introductory chapter talks about: the society of racial capitalism that for many years discriminated against and still does discriminate against people of color, especially women of color. And then each chapter looks at these cooperatives in different communities. The first chapter is entitled Black Canadian Cooperators, Encountering Anti-Black Racism by Dr. Hussein. And it talks about these cooperatives as they exist in Canada. The second chapter, Beyond Coping, the use of agriculture among Nigerian immigrants to counter racial capitalism in North America. And it talks about Nigerian women in Dublin, Ireland, and the way that they pool money together as a way to assist each other and also to assist their communities. The third chapter was one that I wrote with one of my good friends, the late Professor Tatiana Benjamin. The title of it is The Black Social Economy, Black American Women Using Susu and Cooperatives as Resistance. And it talks about Black women in Washington, D.C. and New York City and how they pool money together as a way to help each other. The next chapter, Tandas and Cooperativas, Understanding the Social Economy of Indigenous Mexican Immigrants Settled in Perth, Amboy, New Jersey, and Staten Island, New York. So it talks about Mexican women who do the same thing in New Jersey and also in Staten Island, New York. And then I'll just skip ahead because I'm not sure exactly how much time I have left, but probably not very much. But another chapter looks at, by Dr. Edmonds, looks at
You have time. You got 9 minutes.
Oh, 9 minutes. Oh, I don't know why I'm thinking I'm running out of time. Good. So the another chapter talks about is entitled Maroons, Rastas, and Ganga Cooperatives, the Building of a Black Social Economy in the Eastern Caribbean by Dr. Kevin Edmonds. The next chapter, Fighting to Preserve Black Life and Land Rights, a study of, I hope I'm not mispronouncing this, Quilombolas in the state of Sao Paulo, Brazil. The next chapter looks at Black Irish women, the case of self-help among Nigerian women in Dublin, Ireland. Then the next chapter talks about Caribbean banker ladies making equitable economies, an empirical study on Jamaica, Haiti, Guyana, Trinidad, and Grenada. So as you can see, the book is very comprehensive. Another chapter, Roots Out of Racial Capitalism, Black Cooperatives in the United States. And then the final chapter, which I authored, is entitled The Black Social Economy and Solidarity Economy as a Site of Politicized Action. So in this way, these are women who are not only working together to enhance their political power, but also their economic power, and the focus is on that. So the way in some of these communities, if you've never heard of these types, we call them money pools in America. The way that they work is that people contribute a certain amount, and then at the end of every month, one person, or at the end of a certain time period, one person gets what's called a hand. So let's say if each person contributes, like, let's say $50, I guess, a week, or $50 a month. And if you have 10 women, then you have $500 a month. Then each month it rotates. In one month, I might get the $500. The next month, you might get it. And so there's an arrangement. And one of the things that I found fascinating about this when I first learned about it is that in America, we're very distrustful of people. And the same thing is true in other countries as well. And so people automatically will start to think that, oh, maybe this is some kind of scam, or maybe there's some type of pyramid. But we address all of that in the book as well. And we talk about the fact that the person who usually is in charge is someone that's trusted in the community. And all of the people who enter these arrangements know what they're, getting into. And so it's not a case in which one person can kind of steal the money and run away with it. And so that would be something that we would be really concerned about here in America and in other countries as well. But that's something that usually doesn't happen. And these things work surprisingly well in different communities. And it's a way for women to not so much be so dependent on the government, or not so much if you're in a country and if you, for example, try to get some type of loan, if you want to start a business, for example, and you go to a bank, and if they turn you down because they say that you don't have enough resources or you don't qualify, this is a way that women support each other. And it really shows that women in various countries are very committed to each other and very committed to helping each other. So that's basically what the book talks about. And each of the chapters also talks about the types of discrimination that exist in the different communities that we've looked at. And even from just writing the book, I've learned so much over the years about different countries, about how Black people in countries all around the world, in many cases, have common problems with the types of discrimination that we oftentimes deal with. And so I think it's just a really good book. It's an interesting book. It's not really an academic book, although I guess in a way you could argue that it is. If you're an educator, it's something that you could use in a class. But even if you don't necessarily want to use it in class or read it as an academic book or refer to it in your research, the book is really interesting. If you want to just learn about the types of discrimination that women deal with in different countries and the way that they deal with it, the way that they deal with the fact that in many cases they don't have a lot of political power, but they're fighting to get that. And this gives examples of how they're doing that. And also in many cases, these are women who in some cases may not have very much money, but they're engaging in cooperative economies and solidarity economics and working with other women to be able to earn money for their families and also to empower their communities. So again, I see that someone had asked the title of it. This is the book Beyond Racial Capitalism, Cooperatives in the African Diaspora. And I'll also put a link in the chat. You can find it on Amazon. It was published by Oxford University Press. And it also shows that, and this is the last thing, I think I'm running out of time now, but it also shows that for many of us in academia who are people of color, for the longest time, we were discouraged from doing this type of research to write about, the power of women to fight back. I know early in my career, I was discouraged from studying African politics or African American politics or studying about Black women. And so this is something that shows that now, even as academics, we are now educating the next generation and showing that it's okay to write about things that people may not necessarily have heard of before, different political strategies, different economic strategies that women are using in different countries, and that reputable presses like Oxford University Press are interested in this. And you could also find it online at Amazon. So again, in closing, I'll just say again, it's an honor to be here. And the title of the book is Beyond Racial Capitalism, Cooperatives in the African Diaspora. It was edited by Dr. Caroline Hussein, myself, Sharon Austin, and also Dr. Kevin Edmonds. And also, I look forward to listening to all of your research about your books and your work as well. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Sharon Austin. So yeah, please do put the details of where your book can be purchased in the Zoom chat. And I'm gonna ask all the authors. In fact, I might not ask them one by one. So the other authors and speakers, please, after you finish speaking, please, while you're speaking, mention, where people can get your books from and any details you want to give out. But also, please don't forget to put them in the Zoom chat. And if you are someone listening or interested in purchasing one of those books, please look in the Zoom chat and you'll see, the authors have put their links in there. Right, I'm now going to go on to the next author. The next author is Mycil Muhammad. So Mycil Muhammad, welcome to the Black Book Show for the first time. Please start by introducing yourself very, very briefly. Tell us where you're based and then go on to tell us about the book you've written.
Okay, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. My name is Mycil Muhammad, and I am currently based in Huddersfield, West Yorkshire, which is between Leeds and Bradford. So we're kind of in the middle. It's one of the largest towns in the UK, and I'm a mother of four. My eldest is 42. I am currently retired and I'm a self-published author. This is my first book that I have published. And my book is called, I don't know if you can see, it's called Having Conversation with Your Child About Cancer. And the reason I've written this book is about 10 years ago, I got diagnosed with a rare form of lymphoma. And as a parent, my youngest children were quite young at the time. So I really struggled with explaining to my children what was happening with myself and what was going on in my family. So that's one of my inspirations for writing the book. It's not a reading book, it's an activity and coloring book that can be done with the parent and the child. So basically the book supports the parent or other family members to explain to the child what is happening in the family. The book is divided into 6 different activities, and each activity there is different activity that the parent and the child can discuss. So for instance, in section 1 of the book, the conversation can start by the parent and the child discussing what's happening in the family, what is going on with the person who is sick, and how this can impact on the child. Like I said, there's 6 different activities in the book. I don't know if you can see on the camera here. So this is section 1 of the book, where it actually gives the parent and the child the opportunity to talk about what is happening in the family. The next area on the book looks at supporting the child and the parent to identify who in the family member can support them, who can support the child and the parent while they're going through their cancer journey. At the end of each different activity, there is a checklist. So there's a checklist that the parent and the child can discuss what they've spoken about. So it gives the child an opportunity to ask the parent questions, anything that they're not sure of. And the book can be coloring by the child as well. So, the child and the parent can have those conversations. The age of the book starts from about 5 years up to 10. And section 1 and section 2 relate to the younger child. So it allows the parent and the child to have the conversation with the supervision of another adult. So it could be a grandparent, it could be a carer, it could be a nursery worker that can be supporting the child to have the conversation about what is happening in the family. In section 3, 4, and 5, it allows the older child to have the conversation with the parent. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous. The book is not a reading book. Like I said, it's a means of a resource that helps the parent and the child to start having the conversation about what is happening in the family. It gives the child an opportunity to ask questions, but it also gives them an opportunity to be included in what's going on with the family. So they're not just hearing what the parents are talking about, they're actually including in what's going on. They can explain about how they feel, what is going on with them in the family, how it's impacting on them. And it also gives the parents an opportunity to make sure the children still have a regular routine. They can still live their life in a normal sense without feeling isolated or they can't enjoy their childhood. It gives the parents an opportunity to also develop their own family plan so they can talk about who else in the family that they can bring in for support when they need to have support. If the parent is going into hospital, who can support the family in terms of looking after the children, making sure they're still able to go to school, they can still enjoy their activities as a child. So it gives the parents an opportunity to create their own family plan. They can do it with the children or they can do it with other family members. Having conversation about your child is not just a book. It's a resource that can help parents have conversation around a very difficult topic. Cancer can be very scary when it involves young children because they can feel that they've done something wrong, they can feel that they've been punished, or they can feel very angry. This resource allows the parent and the child to have that conversation and also make the child feel that they are involved in what's going on and their concerns and the worry that they have around what is going on in their family can be addressed. It can be talked about, it can be discussed very openly, very honestly, so the child feels that they've been heard. And they're also encouraged within the book to ask questions. So they can ask questions, can they share what's going on with them, with the teacher? Can they share it with their friend? So it's not a big secret. And it also gives them to identify other family members that can support them. So they can go to uncle, they can go to auntie, they can go to their grandma, if it's a parent that's actually going through the cancer treatment. So the children do feel that they're included in the process of what's going on in their family. It's a tool that can help parents and child to deal with a cancer diagnosis in their family in a confident way, but it also empowers them to have the conversation, that they don't feel isolated. The book can be found on Amazon. It's currently on Amazon. It is priced at $9.99. And the book is called Having Conversation with Your Child About Cancer. Thank you very much. I will put the link for the book below in the chat.
Okay, thank you very much. So that is Mycil Muhammad, Look out for her as well, because she will be featuring on the Black Book Show radio show and podcast. I recently interviewed her. This is the Black Book Show virtual book tour, which happens once a month on a Sunday. Normally it's the last Sunday of the month, but this particular Sunday it's happening a week earlier on the 22nd, the third Sunday of the month. But the Black Book Show, the radio show and podcast, that's another platform that I have. That's why I interview people, authors, and they talk more in depth about, the book that they've written. And then that's on Luton Urban Radio, Galaxy Radio, Luton Urban Radio. Tomorrow I will be on radio between 8 and 10 p.m. And then on Saturday on Galaxy Radio between 6 and 8 p.m. Those are UK times, by the way. But the interviews, in case you're not able to listen to the radio shows for whatever reason, the interviews will also be on the Black Book Show podcast, which is on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. So the best way to stay up to date about everything regarding the Black Book Show is to join the Facebook group. If you put in the Black Book Shows on Facebook, you can join the Facebook group. In fact, I'm going to put the details in the Zoom chat as well. The Black Book Shows on Facebook. Shout out to you if you are listening on Facebook. Hello. The other way you can stay in contact is join the mailing list. So if you're not already on the mailing list, you will see my email there on the screen, info@blackbookshows.com. I'm going to put it in the Zoom chat as well. But for those who are listening, the email is info@blackbookshows.com. You please send me a message to say, please add me to the mailing list, and then I will do that, and you'll be kept up to date about future virtual book tours, about radio shows, and about the podcast, everything to do with the Black Book Show concerning people that are listening. So I'm now going to go on.
Sorry to interrupt, but I forgot to welcome those on Black Culture Radio. So just want to do that quickly before you go off. So on interviews the next author. I'd like to say welcome, apologies to those who's listening via Black Culture Radio, listening via all the w's.blackcultureradio.com. Welcome to the Black Book Show section of the Auntie Jean's African Culture Market, hosted by Makonnen Sankofa. Welcome to those listening via the DAB in Ireland, and welcome to those also watching by the old Facebook. Thank you for everybody who's joined us as well. Welcome to those who joined us here in the Zoom room. Thank you. Apologies for the delay in welcoming you, but as I say, better late than never. Thank you, Makonnen.
Okay, and now I'm going to go on to the next author speaker, who is Elaine Kelliher. So Elaine, welcome to the Black Book Show virtual book tour for the first time. Please start by giving a very brief introduction about yourself, tell us where you're based, and then go on to tell us all about the book you've written, please. Oh, you're on mute. You should just unmute yourself.
Okay, I assume everybody can hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, good. Thank you so much, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. And also thank you, Makonnen, for hosting the show. This is great. I'm so honored to be here. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my book. It's called Do You Think I Cried Too Long? I'll start off with telling you a little bit about myself. I was born in Tulare, California, which is a small town in the San Joaquin Valley. After my mother's tragic death when I was 8, I spent the next 8 years with my grandmother. As a child, my life seemed so different than those of my peers. For one, I didn't have a mother, and reading books was my escape. And as soon as I learned to write stories, and I soon started to write stories basically to entertain myself. As an adult, I learned to use the magic of stories to recall the colorful characters of my youth and resurrect the interesting people from the wrong side of the tracks. While living in Massachusetts, I was named a finalist in Essence Magazine's Maya Angelou Award in Creative Fiction for my unpublished short fiction called Brown Sugar. Family stories, especially the inner world of children exposed to trauma but still persevering, is of special interest to me because of my own personal experience. This year, I published my first novel, Do You Think I Cried Too Long? The novel is a fictionalized memoir that follows 3 years in the lives of 8-year-old Lily, her grandmother Pet, as she liked to be called, and Lily's stepfather Orville. The novel starts with the apparent suicide of Lily's mother Ellen and follows Lily, Pet, and Orville as they each search for meaning in a world turned upside down by Ellen's death. I've often heard that the hardest story to tell is your own. And the event of October 18th, 1954 shaped my life, and that is where my story begins. The event was a tape in my head that played over and over again until one day I started writing it down. This was over 30 years ago. This book freed me. I could tell my story without interruption, without looks of pity, or the awkwardness that follows when people don't know what to say when they hear about a child who has lost their mother. The main character, Lily, was me. She was a determined little girl who wanted what all kids want, love and acceptance. But this book is not only about Lily's quest for love and acceptance, it's about how a grieving child's encounter with the people around them can make for an interesting and beautiful life. For example, take Pet, Lily's grandmother. She was a gypsy at heart who could not stay in one place if her life depended upon it. She couldn't stay with one man either. She was an unconventional woman when conventional was the norm. Orville, Lily's stepfather, is a complicated character. At first, Lily sees him as a loving man devoted to the family, but after the tragedy, he keeps vanishing and reappearing without notice. What secret does he harbor? I would like to do some readings from my book. The first one is from chapter 1. It's called Rude Awakening. And this is about Lily. So this is the title of the book right here. You can see the book. And the first chapter starts with after Lily's mother's death, and she's sent to live with her grandmother. And as I said, the title is called Rude Awakening. More than a painful year after her mother's death, Lily sat outside on a log next to a cottonwood tree in her grandmother's backyard. Lily, bring me some water. Shit, it's hot out here. This was about the third time grandmother had sent Lily on errands to fetch this and that. Golly, grandmother, you call me too much. Lily watched as her grandmother stopped, pivoted abruptly in her direction, and slapped her hard across the face. The stinging pain was immediate, and she cried out with tears gushing down her cheeks. Now go get me some water and don't give me no back talk, you hear me? Yes, she caressed her cheek, feeling the warmth of her grandmother's slap. Yes, what? I done told you, girl, ever since you moved in with me, it's yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. You hear me? Yes, ma'am, grandmother. And I told you before, you might as well call me mama because you ain't got none now, so just call me mama. Yes, ma'am. Lily knew better than to argue, pout, or frown like she used to do at home when she got in trouble with her real family. This mean woman tolerated no back talk, even if you didn't open your mouth. Lily's grandmother had directed her to call her mama before, but from Lily's perspective, this was not a war that her grandmother would win. She would not talk back to her grandmother, but she would never call her mama, ever. When she had spoken to her dead mother, she promised her she would not forget her and that no one would take her place. Lily would wait until she had eye contact with her grandmother before speaking or directing any comments or questions to her. Today was no exception. It was never mentioned again. She was grateful not to have to fight about what to call her grandmother and was able to keep her promise to her mother. As Lily walked inside to get the ice water, she felt the cool breeze blowing and heard the rustling sound made by the mulberry and cottonwood trees that stood next to each other on grandmother's tiny 2-acre farm. On her way back with the water, She stuck out her tongue to taste the air and contemplate what her life would be like living with this mean old woman. She could hear her mother say, "I'm here, Lily," and she felt comforted. For sure, living without her mother had been hard. Lily had overheard her grandmother telling someone on the phone that her sister Lorna and brother Deanie were living with their Uncle Cecil, Orville's brother. And Orville was somewhere driving trucks, but never stopped to see about his kids. She missed them all, but especially her mother. The lack of her mother's daily presence for almost a school year now left a deep, hollow spot in her heart, and she had cried herself to sleep so many nights that she had lost count. But when she awakened each morning, the sun rose in the east, and no miracle brought her mother, baby sister, or stepfather back. Sometimes grandmother was nice, but mostly she was mean and constantly complained about how much she sacrificed to keep Lily. That's from the first chapter. I'm going to read a couple of more chapters. This one is chapter 2, and it's called Dreams, Oh Dreams, Leave Me Be. This is grandmother's perspective. And it starts with, Pet, as she liked to be called, wiped the sweat already dotting her forehead and dripping down her armpits. She was about to go inside to pack, but she stopped and cast her gaze upon Lily. How in the world had she ended up taking her in? The morning's scorching sun and the responsibility of caring for Lily weighed heavily upon her. Not only did she look like her mother, they both had also the same temperament, easily hurt, timid, and easily frightened. Pet dragged a rusty lawn chair to the nearby cottonwood tree and plopped down. The image of her dead daughter, Ellen, immediately appeared. Pet cleared her throat and spat on the grass in front of her. She waved her hand in front of her face, trying to shoo the image aside, but Ellen's haunting face remained. Try as she might, Pet could not stop the painful images of her dead daughter from appearing. The memory of Ellen locked her into the lawn chair like a prisoner trapped to an electric chair. Rather than fight it, Pet sat back and allowed the painful movie to play. News of Ellen's death had spread rapidly around the colored communities of Merced and Sacramento. The rumors ranged from murder by her husband staged to look like a suicide, to murder by a nearby Mexican field hand, to accidentally shooting herself, to just plain suicide. Pet favored the murder by her husband theory, but she wasn't anywhere near Clarksburg when it happened. Orville had left his wife, Ellen, and her children secluded in an old farmhouse 22 miles from Sacramento. No one but the children were around when it happened. Orville was tight-lipped and wouldn't talk about her death except to say he wasn't there and he didn't do it. The thought of Ellen blowing a 3-inch hole in her abdomen and bleeding to death, surrounded by her 3 young children, alone in the middle of no goddamn where, made little sense to Pet. Strapped to her chair in an unwanted, unplanned memory ride was too much for her. She was getting too old for this, especially with the extra burden of caring for Lily. There had to be a way out of her predicament. A cool breeze suddenly wafted across her face, and she awakened from what seemed like a memory trance, rested herself from the chair, and resumed packing. So I have a couple of more short chapters to read. I'm not sure how my time is doing, Makonnen.
You've got 3 minutes left. So you may just be able to get a bit of one. I don't think you'll be able to get a couple, but you have 3 minutes left anyway.
Okay, I'll read the last chapter. The last chapter I was planning to read. And this one is called Men's Pet, Women's Fret. This is from the grandmother, again, perspective. It was back in the day when her 3 no-good married men, Arthur, Jesse, and Lewis, they were all sweet on her and she couldn't make up her mind which one she wanted. Arthur would come on Mondays, which worked well for her because he'd always give her money thinking it would persuade her to favor his advances. For Pet, it meant school lunch money for Lily and beer money for herself. Jesse was a handsome man. His nights were Wednesdays, but he tended to always be broke and in need of funding. She didn't understand it, but somehow she'd end up slipping him a few dollars to tide him over till next week. Her weakness for him was that he looked at her and saw her and still wanted her. It was a powerful connection. Lewis was the dumb one. She could order him around and he'd gladly do whatever was asked. She was not enthralled with him, but it gave her great pleasure to watch him jump to her commands. She also liked to dance, and Lewis was good for taking them out on Fridays to the local rhythm and blues club and dancing till the crack of dawn. All but the waiting game. It began with Arthur, who always came first, and sometimes not on his allotted night, but a night when the wife was playing pinochle and wouldn't miss him till midnight. He was a short, squat, dark man who knew that handsome was not a word that women thought of when thinking about him. He dressed rather plainly, since he was aware that looking too sharp, instead of attracting women to him, actually turned them off. He was aware, of course, that money talked and bullshit walked. Women responded to his money. Jesse, on the other hand, was handsome and he knew it. He arrived next and was surprised to find Arthur sitting on his spot on the couch. He sat next to him and they both engaged in small talk, checking their watches and looking at Pet for some clue as to why the other man was sitting there. Arthur sized up Jesse, aware that his light-skinned, obviously good-looking man was here for more than a friendly chat with Pet. The small living room was getting darker as evening settled in. Pet turned on the two lamps sitting on the wood wobbly end tables and closed the curtains to keep the nosy neighbors from peering inside. As the tension between the two men in the living room rose, everyone jumped slightly when they heard a light knock on the front door, and in walked Lewis. Pet visibly scowled at him and he's plopped down between the two other men. He smiled sheepishly at her, looking like a child who had just got caught snatching a cookie from a toddler. Pet couldn't help herself. Lewis, what the hell are you doing coming here over this time of evening? You know you don't do my lawns this time of night. Lewis looked confused, but eventually the synapses fired in his brain and he told him he needed to play along with Pet's antics. Well, Pet, I could come over tomorrow and do the front and back lawns if that's what you'd like. Yeah, Lewis, you do that. As you can see, I'm busy. With that said, Pet coughed and lowered her head to shield her face from his piercing glances from Jesse and Arthur. She could barely quell the laughter that was about to bubble to the surface. Lewis rose and headed for the front door, but he couldn't help but wink at Pet on his way out. Now Arthur and Jesse had stopped all pretenses of cordiality and sat glaring at each other. Jesse, feeling the more entitled of the two, gave Pet a warm smile and began talking to her as if they were alone. He talked about how well his daughter was doing in her second year of college, the last fishing trip he and Pet had gone on, and he leaned forward. He reached out to touch her knee, but Arthur cleared his throat and smiled at Pet also. Jesse's hand stopped midair. Arthur knew his version of a warm smile did not match Jesse's, and it made him angry. He didn't have the courage to say anything, so he just sat there fuming. All three of them knew that Jesse had won, and all but Arthur was pissed. The waiting game was over, and Arthur, with a half sigh, half groan, rose from the couch and left, not saying goodbye to anyone. So that's the last chapter I'm reading. Let's see. Oh yeah. So thank you all for allowing me to speak at this event, especially Makonnen. How you can purchase my book. It's on Amazon and also online wherever books are sold. You can visit my website and I will put that information in the chat, which has a link to my book promo. I have a guide for how to help a grieving child. And yeah, I think that's it.
Can you just mention the book title, just for those that are, one more time, the book title for those who are listening on Black Culture Radio and on Facebook?
Sure, it's called, Do You Think I Cried Too Long?
and then just your name so that those are listed
And
as
my name-
well.
Yes, it's Do You Think I Cried Too Long? And the author, of course, is me, Elaine Kelliher.
Okay,
And I will also put this information in the chat.
and they can get it in Amazon. I know you mentioned.
Yes,
Do you also, sorry, the website, you mentioned you have a website. What's the website's name?
it's ElaineKelliher.com. And I'm going to put this also in the chat. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
Elaine is ELAINE, Kelliher, KELLIHER.com. And you can find more information, of course, on the website.
Okay, great. So I see there's a question in the chat as well. So if you could just, because of time, if you could just reply to it, Patricia's sent you a message. If you go on the Zoom chat, just send her a reply, please. But thank you for joining us on the Black Book Show virtual book tour on this episode. We're going to keep it moving now. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to share my screen. So everyone should be able to see my screen right now. If someone could just say yes to confirm that they can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the Black Book Show's website. So if you go on blackbookshows.com, that is blackbookshows.com, the website has got information regarding the Black Book Shows. So the previous example, virtual book tours, you can go on the website if you wish to see previous videos of the virtual book tours. Like this one is October, this one will be going up there. The September one for last month will be going up there. But each month, you know, they go up on there, and they are linked to P English Literature YouTube channel. But you can check out the previous episodes of the virtual book tours by going on blackbookshows.com, and then on the menu select virtual book tours. Also, if you want to check out podcast interviews from people that have been onto my radio show and podcast, select the option podcast interviews, and if you scroll down to the bottom, it says click this link to listen to other previous podcasts, and then it will bring you onto Spotify. It will link you onto Spotify, where you can listen back to the various different episodes of people that have featured on the Black Book Show. We're also now on Amazon Music and Apple Podcast as well. The website can also be used to contact me. There is a contact us section on the website. So in case you want to get in contact with me, in case you are an author interested in featuring on the Black Book Show in the future, whether that is the virtual book tour or the radio show and podcast, or indeed all of the platforms, you know, fill in the contact us form, enter your name, your email address, send me a message. And it could be if you want to give feedback. If you want to give feedback from, you know, this show, or indeed any of the shows that you've listened to or watched from the Black Book Show, please, you know, type in a message, and you can send me a message to give me feedback. As well as if you would like to sponsor the Black Book Show virtual book tour. We do have several people that sponsor the Black Book Show virtual book tour. So if you would like to be one of the sponsors of the Black Book Show virtual book tour, you know, fill in the contact us form. At this point, I just wanted to thank, you know, the sponsors of the Black Book Show, Jimmy Asher Foundation, Education for All Now, Polyglot Translation Services, Nubian Nagis Books, and Lobby Noir, as well as Bharti Dhir. So thanks all the sponsors of the Black Book Show. If you would like to sponsor the Black Book Show, you can be an author, or if you have a book service, or your Black-owned business that that you would like to promote your service, again, you can get in contact with me. Alternatively, I can be reached at info@blackbookshows.com. Info@blackbookshows.com is another way that you can get in touch with me. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to actually share my, well, I've already shared my screen, but I'm going to go on to this presentation. One of the sponsors of the Black Book Show is Polyglot Translation Services that I work in partnership with. And I'm just going to explain a bit more about what they do in terms of the service that they offer in collaboration with the Black Book Show. So Polyglot Translation Services, as I mentioned, they are a partner company of the Black Book Show, and they translate books into over 35 different languages. They cover European languages such as English, French, Spanish, German, Italian, Russian, Polish, and others. Now, they also translate books in native African languages such as Twi, Ga, and Ewe, which are spoken commonly in Ghana, Yoruba, Igbo, which is spoken commonly in Nigeria, Swahili in Eastern and Southern East African countries is spoken, and also other African languages. Well, they translate books into. Now, one of the main reasons that I actually decided to partner with them is because they cover book translation in a variety of different African languages as well as European languages. I've met the founder of Gyrons. We're friends, several times when I was in Ghana. That's where we met each. And yeah, that was one of the reasons why I decided to get into partnership with them. The fact that they offer translation as well as European languages, but also in African languages. Some of the benefits if you're author is to getting your book translated is that it appeals to a wider audience of readership. So the potential to maximize profit. So instead of just putting yourself in one market, I want to say English because everyone on this platform is speaking in English and it's as the main language. So translating your book into another language means you've got potential for more customers, whether that be French, whether that be Yoruba, whether it be Swahili. If your book's in more languages, you've got a wider audience. Now, as well as having your book translated, and one benefit being that it gives you a wider audience, credibility as well. To say you've got your book translated into another language, it does help with seeing yourself, as an international author, not just a local or national author, because a lot of people, I'm gonna say some people, and I want to say a lot, some people do perform better in sales in another market than they may do in the language that they've produced their book in. So i.e., if they've written a book in English, it's translated into French, that book could perform better in French than it does in English. Or if it's written in Spanish is your native language, but you've translated it into English, it may do better in the English market. So that's, I think, very important and strategic as well, how you're marketing your book and the kind of audience and the people that you want it to reach to. I mean, it may very well be that this is a book that you want to reach, people in another country, in another language. I know a couple of authors that have been on this platform, and some of them they've gone on to have book translation. Some have translated by polyglot translation, but some have been just translated in general, and they're native speakers of other countries, so they wanted to get their book translated to appeal to that audience when they go to those particular countries where they're from. So I mean, having your book translated into another language also allows you to be eligible for awards in other countries, or in other languages. So you can become a best-selling book in Swahili, a best-selling book in Spain, or in another language or another country. It means that you can go into more categories to win awards, and again, winning awards does help with credibility as an author, to say that I'm an award-winning author. It does add to your title as well. So Polyglot Translation Services, at the moment, they've done 4 book translation projects with authors from the Black Book Show in recent months. One of the authors that they translated successfully is Aduni S. Faloe. Sorry if I pronounced your surname wrong, but Aduni. Greetings, Aduni. I just want to say hello if you are on the call, because I did see your email earlier. So yes, warm greetings if you are on the call. But they did translate her book called Fruits of the Spirit. So I'm just going to read the review that she gave. She's a Nigerian based in the UK. The review was, "My book, Fruits of the Spirit, has been well translated into 5 languages: French, Spanish, Yoruba, Italian, and German by Polyglot Translation Services, and is now available on Amazon." There is also a review. I'm just going to go back. It's just skipped ahead. There's also a review by Penny. Penny is from Namibia. I believe she's from Namibia, but living in the UK. The translation, she's given a 5-star review, like a Denis, and her book is called We Need One Another. So the review that she's given is, my book, We Need One Another, has been well translated into Swahili by Polyglot Translation Services. I received quick and excellent service from them. But don't just take my word for it. You can go onto the you can go onto Google, and if you type in Polyglot Translation Services onto Google, you can actually, check their reviews themselves. They've got 36 reviews, and it's 4.8 stars. So that is, 4.8 stars out of 36 reviews is pretty good. It's a good level of customer service, or good. It shows that it's a good level of people that are happy with the translations that have been done. So, want to get your book translated? Contact myself, Makonnen Sankofa, via email, stating your interest in getting your book translated. The email address to contact, as you can see on the screen, but I'm going to say, for those listening on Black Culture Radio, Facebook, etc., the email address is info@blackbookshows.com. That is info@blackbookshows.com. Now, following receipt of this email, I will put you in touch with a member of Polyglot Translation Services who will be able to provide you with a quote for getting your book translated. They can answer any questions you may have and provide you with any further assistance. Right, I just want to, at this point, just mention one other thing, that we are also live on Black Culture Radio. So if you're not, obviously those who are in the Zoom call, you're on Zoom. People also on Facebook. This is shared in the Black Book Show Facebook group. So here is the Black Book Show Facebook group, where it's the best place to stay up to date, for latest information and news on the Black Book Show. So please do join the Black Book Show Facebook group. But in case, you've got anyone who's, a friend or someone who's on the go and they just want to listen in, they can also listen in via Black Culture Radio as well. I'm also author, author of 4 books. So the books that I've authored, Experiences of Living Across Africa. It goes on, it's an anthology book which I read, which covers my experience of living in Ghana and Gambia, and it also has several other authors. There's 14 contributors of the book that talk about the experiences of living in different African countries, North, South, East, and West Africa. And it also, it has a section about things to consider when moving to Africa. How to Market and Sell Your Book, a guide for beginners. That is a great book for authors who want help with how to market their book, different ways that they can increase sales. And one of the ways, is getting their book translated into another language. That's another, way that you can increase sales. But it shows, how you can use social media, how to do events successfully where you can increase sales, kind of conversations that can, lead into sales, how to become an international seller as opposed to a bestseller, and different ways that you can basically effectively market your book, how you become a bestseller. I'm a bestseller of 3 books. So it shows you various different strategies of ways that can increase your book sales. So it's very useful if you're all levels will benefit from it, but particularly it's essential if you're, you've written a book or you're about to release a book, because it will, it can effectively help you a lot, even in terms of how you can turn your book into a business. Then we've got Life in Gambia, the Smiling Coast of Africa. Life in Gambia, the Smiling Coast of Africa. I've lived in the Gambia, so it basically covers my experiences of living in the Gambia, which is unique for various different reasons. Without going too much into it, but some of the things that I enjoyed when I was in the Gambia, it's a beautiful country in West Africa. There's really nice beaches, but I went to weddings, I went to naming ceremonies. I was part of a big YouTube channel over there, which helped, which inspired a lot of people to move and to travel to the Gambia. and we got about 10,000 people per video as we uploaded. I worked as the video editor and the cameraman, and we did a lot of interviews with people that had, relocated to the Gambia from the diaspora, and also local businesses, and we covered, the day-to-day life in the Gambia. So my time in the Gambia was really good. I got to meet, the who's who, and I got to see, people in different levels in the society. But I had a really good time. I've been to the Gambia 4 times. I've lived there twice. And then we have The Rise of Rastafari, Resistance, Redemption, and Repatriation, which is my the original book, the first book that I actually released. And if you want to know about the history of the Rastafari movement, that is an essential book, in terms of explaining what it is, the history of the Rastafari movement, the different groups, Rastafari in the Caribbean, as well as Rastafari in England. And tackling a lot of the common misconceptions that people have about Rastafari, because I find that a lot of people just seem to think it's people that in dreadlocks that smoke ganja, listen to Bob Marley music. So the book does well to to demystify a lot of the misconceptions and to highlight Rastafari and the contributions, the positive contributions that is often untold that Rastafari has made in terms of people of African heritage being proud of our hair, our skin color, and looking towards repatriation to Africa and being proud, of being Black, and looking at, being self-sufficient and empowered. So the rise of Rastafari, it talks about, key figures such as His Majesty Haile Selassie, Marcus Garvey, Leonard Howe, is known as the first Rasta. And, it's great as well, because I would say it's a general history, but there's a lot of information in there which are just historical, for example, the Italian-Ethiopian War, what it was like in England in the 70s, and the Windrush generation coming over, and colonial Jamaica, and there's just a lot of history about the Caribbean, England, and Africa. But the main theme of the book is how it links into Rastafari. Even there's a section about reggae and Rastafari. So The Rise of Rastafari, Resistance, Redemption, and Repatriation. It's a great book. I think that the 3 words when the publisher told me what do I want to have as my subtitle, I said resistance, redemption, and repatriation. Resistance, because the movement is a really anti-systematic, anti-colonial movement that rose about in 1930s in Jamaica following the coronation of Haile Selassie in Ethiopia, but it came to resist white supremacy, resist oppression. Redemption, because as people of African heritage, reclaiming our identity, reclaiming our history, or reclaiming ourselves and our Africanness. Effectively, a lot of that was taken away during the Mahafa, also known as the transatlantic slave trade. But during that, so it was really about people of African heritage in the Caribbean then, but now in the wider diaspora, redeeming our Africanness. And then repatriation is repatriation, going back to Africa, the place that that our ancestors came from or were taken from before the Mahafa, and making the repatriation for the development of the continent. And so that is The Rise of Rastafari, Resistance, Redemption, Repatriation. So all of those books, experiences of living across Africa, how to market and sell your book, Life in Gambia, and The Rise of Rastafari, they can be purchased on Amazon. They're all available in paperback and Kindle. So I'm just going to repeat the titles one more time. You have Experiences of Living Across Africa, How to Market and Sell Your Book, Life in Gambia, and The Rise of Rastafari. They're all available on Amazon. You can also contact me. I'll give up my WhatsApp number. So if you want a copy, at the moment I'm still in England. I'm going back to Africa next month. But if you want a signed copy, feel free to get at me. The number is +44 7943 178 117. That is +44 7943 178 117. Alternatively, you can also contact me at info@blackbookshows.com, or you can go on the website blackbookshows.com and enter in the contact us form, but just put this contact us, the message that you want to buy a copy of the book. I will put the details in the Zoom chat as well for those who, if you do want to get a copy of the book. So I'm now going to go on to the next speaker on the Black Book Show. The next speaker is Canmi from the Lagos Weekender. So Canmi, if you would just like to come on, please. Welcome to the Black Book Show for the first time. So introduce yourself, tell us where you're based, and then tell us, all about what you do.
Okay, hi guys. Hello, good evening, good day. Let me just turn on my video. Okay. All right. Okay. I think I should be on now. Please confirm if you can see me and hear me.
Yes, we can see you.
Fantastic. Hello. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's my first time here, and it's been so interesting so far, getting to know everyone's books. Oh, just give me 1 second. Okay. My name is Sunkanmi Ogunniyi, but you can call me Komi. I am the founder and CEO of the Lagos Weekender. I'm based in Lagos, Nigeria, in Africa, of course. And I'm so excited to share my ebook with everybody. The ebook is called The Weekender Guide, and it was released last year, December. We're hoping to have an improved, updated edition this year. So just before I talk about the ebook, I would like to also share what the Lagos Weekender is about. So as I mentioned, I'm Nigerian. I live in Lagos. I'm based in Lagos, and I've lived here literally all my life. And then in 2016, I started to document my social life on social media. And I have now grown that into a media company. And what we do now primarily is promote and showcase the best of African cities, starting from Lagos to Abuja in Nigeria, to Accra in Ghana, and hopefully to other cities across Africa. Basically, like I said, we showcase culture, lifestyle, fun things to do in this African city. You agree with me that Lagos is the entertainment hub of Africa. It's huge, but a lot of people find it difficult to find what to do, to find things to do. I see, there's a Nigerian here. Hi, Peter. So a lot of people find it difficult to find fun things to do in Lagos, regardless of how much of an entertainment hub it is, or how much of a commercial capital it is. So our job at the Lagos Weekender is to help people to find fun things to do, which was what then culminated into producing this ebook. This ebook is supposed to serve as a guide for anyone coming into Lagos. I'm very sure if you are Nigerian or have been to Lagos, especially in December, you would be familiar with the phrase "Dirty December." I don't know if anyone is familiar with that phrase. So in December, a lot of people in diaspora come into Lagos to just spend time, come for holidays, and it's always an interesting and entertaining time of the year. So we came up with this idea of documenting, putting together all the best things to do within the city, from events to attend, from adventures to try, to restaurants, to hotels and resorts. And we put it together and put it in a book. So I'm going to just share my screen so I can, show you the book and probably read a part of the book. So just give me 1 second and I will just do that. All right. So like I mentioned before, this version of the book was released last year, December. The goal is to always, release one every December, just at the beginning of the month, so that it's very useful to anybody coming into, and we're hoping to also produce the same across different cities in Africa, not just in Lagos. Like I mentioned, we're already live in Abuja, so hopefully we're able to produce this in Abuja as well. I think at the end of my session, I'll probably share the link to download the ebook and to read more about the Lagos Weekender. I really would want to encourage you to see this as a way to get to know Lagos before even experiencing Lagos. That's really the goal for us at the Weekender. We want people to be able to, not because we know there's a lot of negative narratives about Africa out there, and it's our goal to actually change that. We don't see a lot of the fun part. Well, thankfully we have Afrobeats now, that is doing a wonderful job for, exporting our talents from, Nigeria. But it's also up to us to showcase more of the beautiful and the beauty of, Nigeria, the beauty of Lagos, the beauty of Africa as a whole. That is the mission for us at the Lagos Weekend, that we're just starting off with Lagos into other African cities or other cities in Nigeria. So basically, now you can also follow us on social media. On Instagram, we're at the Lagos Weekender. If you're looking for fun things to do in Lagos, you just go on there and you will see a lot of our recommendations, which is highly trusted by our community. We've actually, over the years since inception, grown our community to over 100,000 people across, digital channels. So on Instagram, we have a huge following. People trust us. We share recommendations on where to go, what's happening in town. Every weekend, we actually do a compilation of events happening in town. We also have like TikTok. So if you have TikTok, you can go check our page on TikTok. We're active on Facebook, and you can check our website as well. We also do have like an email database of like fun seekers in Lagos and across the world. There's a lot of people that also, come into Lagos once in a while looking for where to go and what to do. So it's our job to point them in the right direction. So every week we send across, a list of events for people to attend, a list of things that they can do as well. And if you're looking to, I really, really would, say, I invite you to come to Lagos in December. It's always, always a blast for anybody. Come and experience the beauty of, Lagos, Nigeria. Even if you're not coming to Lagos, maybe you want to try going to Accra. Even if you're not coming to Accra, maybe you want to try go to Abuja. But coming back home is, I know how much impact it's been, having on a lot of people in the diaspora who have taken that leap and that step to come back to Africa and just connect more with the roots. It's also part of, our mission at the Lagos Weekend as well. We also, provide people with an itinerary of things to do. So if you're coming to the city, we can drop an itinerary of different things that you can do each day. You already know that Lagos is also like the center of nightlife. The nightlife here is really crazy. So we've actually selected the best of things to do, restaurants, hotels, events. We've put them all into this ebook to serve as a guide to anybody coming into Lagos. So I'm going to just read from the, let me see. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to just share this part, which talks about what you can do today in Lagos if you can download the ebook. I'm going to share the link, like I mentioned. So we have a section that is dedicated to what you can do during the day. You can visit like an arts and craft market. You can go to the galleries. You can go to gardens. There's a lot in town, and we've also documented what you can do at night. There's a lot of like hot spots. There are even new places now that you will absolutely love it. It's like, Lagos is like, we call Lagos the Vegas of Africa. We've also highlighted, resorts, beach that you can go, different parks that you can enjoy nature, even things to do for fitness, and especially for dining out as well. We've added tips to it. We've also like spent time to research and find out what people like. And we spoke to people that have, heavy influence within our hospitality industry, like, for example, Foodie in Lagos. And they've also shared tips as to how to make the best of your stay if you're in Lagos. Even if you're not coming to Lagos, this ebook, I believe, can serve as, a guide for you to understand how the tourism scene in Lagos actually works. It's very, very bright, vibrant. We've also highlighted like special fine dining places to try, where to enjoy local cuisines, and top cafes within the city. We've also, put together the must, visit events in the city, events that happen regularly, events that happen only in December. There's going to be a lot of concerts as well. We have a lot of international artists coming into the city. So December is just going to be so much fun if you're going to be around. And if you're not going to be around, you can also check our social media pages where we will be documenting literally everything happening in the city in December. And, so you can just follow through and maybe catch FOMO, which is what we do. We've also, spotlighted where you can enjoy a good time, even travel tips and all of that. So let me just read a bit of the travel section, because I want to believe that's what we are more interested in. So this part says, Lagos is one of the best cities to travel to in Nigeria, and for good reason. From its bustling nightlife to top-rated hotels and restaurants, visitors experience the best of Nigeria's diverse culture. We've gathered some general tips that you can keep or should keep in mind as you plan your stay and navigate Lasgidi. Lasgidi is the slang that we use to describe Lagos. So general travel tips for anyone coming into Lagos: exchange your currency immediately. Definitely, the Naira is still the strongest form of currency here. So you need to change a few places would accept dollars, but 90% of places you go would request for Naira transactions. So exchange your currency immediately after you get to Lagos. You can also look out for a trusted local guide to help you with the best streets, or to exchange at the best streets, so that people don't cheat you. Avoid drinking water directly from the tap. Tap water is not to be trusted. So you can buy packs of bottled water at very, less than $1 to last throughout your stay. Make sure that you also confirm the prohibited behavior from your hotels. Some hotels or some Airbnbs don't accept smoking. So you need to be very sure about what you're staying, what is accepted and what is not. Masks are not compulsory in most establishments, but you should carry hand sanitizer. Bring mosquito repellent and apply them throughout the day. We already know that the city is a tropical one, so you might want to consider, bringing mosquito repellents with you. If you want to get around easily, you can use Bolt is here. You can use Uber, or you can use InDrive. Whichever of this you have definitely works in the city, or you can just get a dedicated driver or a trusted person locally to find a dedicated driver for you, which makes everything easier. Pack and dress for humid summer weather. I'm not sure. I think we already know that. And factor traffic into your plans. There's always, especially if you're coming into Lagos in December, it's always very busy. So even at night, yes. So you might need to also factor that into your movement. If you need to get somewhere at a certain time, you need to make sure that the duration, how long your traffic time would take as well. And then you may have to head out hours before your appointment, because we're still working on transportation here. So keep your wits about you when shopping or taking a stroll in crowded areas. Just make sure you're more careful. You can also use the air-conditioned bus rapid transit in Lagos, which a lot of people use around as well. So I hope these tips are helpful to anybody considering or traveling into Lagos or coming into Lagos. If you have any questions about traveling to Lagos or coming into Lagos or having a great time in Lagos, I am your go-to personally. So you can reach out to me. I'm going to drop my contact in the chat, so you can reach out to me if you know anyone, or if you are coming into the city. We will be glad to serve as your local guide in the city. And I would encourage you to download the Weekender Guide with the link that I'm going to share chat room. I hope that covers it all. Yeah, I hope that covers it all. Or do I have more time so I could go deeper into?
No. Time is actually two minutes. But I'm going to ask you a question anyway, because I saw it in the chat. I'm just having a look. So I think someone's asked, is there a particular is your work targeted at any particular age group?
Yes, definitely. It's between 24 more. We have our target audience are more between 24 to 35, because they're the ones who have disposable income. They're the ones who have the energy to go out. So those are our core audience. However, we still spread between 18 to about 45, but the core audience sits between 25 to 35.
Okay, thank you very much. So I connected with Cadmi in the Africa tourism travel group. I'm part of a WhatsApp group which is for people that travel or living in Africa, and she joined recently. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, because there's an event. I'm hoping next month to be at the Ake Arts and Books Festival in Lagos, where I'll be going. And I was like, oh yeah, I should be going to Nigeria next month. So let me kind of connect with her. And I realized that you also written an ebook. So I've actually looked at the ebook and I've read it, and it's really interesting. And obviously, I'll definitely be connecting with you. You know, fingers crossed. Should I get to Lagos as planned? And hopefully, yeah, I will see you there, and I'm looking forward to it. So I'm now going to go on to the next speaker. Our next speaker is Caro Sika from Lobby Noir. She was on the Black Book Show last month, and she's back. You know, I'm really happy to have her back on the Black Book Show virtual book talk again this month, and she'll also be on next month as well. So, Caro Sika, please, welcome you back onto the Black Book Show. She'll be speaking about Lobby Noir. So please start by introducing yourself and tell us all about what Lobby Noir is.
Greetings, everyone. So it's been, again, extremely interesting. I'm just so happy about the diversity of offers, and especially the fact that offers are all across the globe. It goes with the ethos of Lobby Noir. So just to tell you a little bit more about Lobby Noir, I've been there last month, so I'm going to take it from a different angle, because some of you would already have heard or seen some of the books that I featured last month. But I just want to take some time to tell you really what Lobby Noir is about and what we are planning to do. And then I will show you briefly our platforms and what we offer. So Lobby Noir started in 2017, and I really liked what I heard at the beginning. Let me just go back. So I quote the offer correctly, but the first offer that came on that presented Beyond Racial Capitalism, Sharon. So I thought I will kind of take it from this angle, because really Lobby Noir is a kind of alternative online for collective economics. And the aim really is to go beyond racial capitalism. It started in 2017, and it's basically a community hub. So what we do, we've created platforms to bring together business owners, professionals, those who offer services together under one platform that is global. And the aim of it is just to be able to identify skills very quickly, products and offers that are available to a Black community and beyond. But for instance, I'm looking for hair products. I can go on our platforms and find the hair products, and I will show you how it works. I'm looking for Black offers. I can go on the platform and find Black offers and books. I'm looking for barristers, solicitors, accountants. I can go on this platform and find this. The aim of this is collective economics, is to circulate money within our community. So it started in France, and we've been very organic with it. We kind of develop it as we see the needs and as the community kind of develops. And one of the things that we try to do is just to raise the level of consciousness as to why it is so important. I know in the last couple of years, especially after the murder of George Floyd, especially in Europe, because I think in America it's something that has been kind of established for a long time. People do understand that economics is important, that circulating money in our community is important to create wealth, to create jobs, to kind of create a intergenerational kind of legacy. But in Europe, it might be a concept that is well understood by the conscious community, but not necessarily by the wider community. So one of the exercises that I did a couple of years ago now, and I found very interesting, and something that we're trying to institutionalize, is something called Buy Black Global. It started as Blackout Day, which is a form of protesting economically against racial disparities and basically systemic and institutional racism. And what we do is that for one day, we exclusively buy Black. So we exclusively support Black-owned businesses, and we cannot support any other community. So I'm just going to kind of just say a few things just to really perhaps present what's at stake. What was really important, I'm based in the UK, in London. When I had to do this exercise, it was extremely difficult to identify where to go from A to Z so I could actually achieve this. Something as simple as, how am I going to travel? And I'm being like, you know, I'm kind of being over the top, but just to kind of build a picture. How am I going to travel? Where am I going to buy the basics? Or well, if I need washing liquid, if I need to kind of, you know, buy fuel on the day, if I need to, you know, eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, that sort of things. It's not easy to actually identify where to go. And that kind of really highlights the fact that we don't have a lot as a community, and we're not very visible as a community. It was very interesting because, for instance, on that day, going to a shopping center was totally pointless, because in the shopping center where you will have 100 outlets, none of them will be Black owned. So we are in serious trouble as a community in terms of having the possibility to circulate money amongst each other. And because we don't really have this visibility and these outlets, we haven't necessarily developed the consciousness to understand that we need to do it. The Indian community does it. And for those of you who live in the UK, that's why we have a prime minister who's Indian. In the Chinese community, they understand it. In the Jewish community, they understand it. Many other communities, but we don't understand in our community. A very, I would say, a hub of conscious people do, but as a whole, we're too little to think about how we spend. We're too few to think about how we spend money. So Le Binoir basically is an alternative to circulate money using digital platforms. And I'm going to just share my screen now and show you what we have in place. We're not the only ones, but I'll show you obviously what we do. Okay, so I'm going to start with the first thing that we did, which is to build a database. But the database is voluntarily, it's something that you would do. It's done on a volunteer basis. It's not something that we don't go about actively putting down Black-owned businesses, because we feel that it has to be a choice, and because we want to build this community. We want to know who comes on. We want to know exactly what they are doing and how we can support. So this is like the institutional website. With this website, we have an actual four strengths to it. One is the directory, and in the directory, we have over 1,000 businesses that are listed. For the majority that we know, we actually know the people for the majority. Obviously, some of us just come. If we don't know them personally, we know their social media, their social handles. We have a sense of how they operate and so forth. So we created this directory, and it's linked to an app. So each time somebody joins the directory, we actually send notifications through the app. So people can go and have a look, and they are immediately notified of who's joined in the community. And what we would do with the social media handles, we will communicate. So they will join our community, and each time they do something, we will showcase it. And it's a free service. It's totally free because it's an alternative for collective economics. It's a solution. It's not something that is commercial, or it's not just about a financial transaction. Then what we have also, but this is operating in France at the moment, we have a ticketing office, like the equivalent of Eventbrite or that sort of things. Because again, we do a lot of events in our community, but the money is held by other financial institutions. And sometimes these financial institutions can choose to withhold it because, you know, they want information or they're not convinced about certain things. And I've seen in many cases, institutions who just, you know, choose to withhold it until you provide certain type of information. So we have this, and again, the organizers that come and do their events for us, they know that as soon as the event is done, within 48 hours, they get their money. They can get their money meanwhile as well. They can get advances. So really, it's doing things together, and they will get support all throughout, because obviously the people who follow us are very likely to be interested in what they have to offer. So again, it kind of increases their visibility, and it means that they are targeting people who would really be interested in what they have to offer. And then we have a marketplace, and the marketplace, I've opened it there. My web is not too good. So last time I actually tried to do it from scratch, and I thought, you know, this time, let me just open it. Now, what I really like about this marketplace, and I'm going to kind of speak about the ebooks as well, because it was mentioned just before. So we have people, again, from different parts of the world. And this person here, for instance, is in Congo. One of the things that I've come across doing what I do is that the facility that we have in Europe with banking systems, or the West, generally speaking, is not the same in many parts of Africa. And exchanging currency is not the same. So for instance, an African offer, it will be much more difficult for him to offer his books mainstream, because perhaps the currency of his country is not represented. So for instance, I'll give you an example. PayPal will not take African currencies. So what is happening, and I know those of you who are from Nigeria, unless they are a certain status, and unless they have a dollar account, they will not be able to exchange their nairas directly. So it becomes very difficult for them to actually offer mainstream. This offer is from Congo, for instance. He's done a dictionary, which is a Lingala and French dictionary. To give you an example, you can't send him PayPal. Again, you can't just send him money directly into his bank account. So what we do a Western Union with him. We have a community of Nigerians that actually we support also, and we do microfinance with them. We use an app. I'm just going to mention Lemonade app's fantastic, but we use an app because, again, we can't send them money directly. So in terms of doing businesses and exchanging skills, it's difficult because the financial system is not supporting it. So the offers that tend to come and put their books in the marketplace, and that's something that we want to develop, will be, for instance, we have here Black History Activity Books. There's a lovely brother called Andrew, who's got a fantastic range of books. So I'll show you some of these books. He's doing it because he's based in the UK, and he knows that we have, for instance, readers in Europe who might be interested in his books. So those who will buy his books on our platform would usually be, for instance, in France, in Belgium, in Switzerland, or even Germany. So that was his, for instance, the interest for him joining Marketplace Le Noir. So now the two books that we are promoting at the moment, and I'm going to show it to you, and I'm not going to try to read or anything, but because I think it's really fantastic. It's called 10 African Bedtime Songs and Nursery Rhymes audiobook. It's a Senegalese author who did this book, and it's the first of its kind. And basically, we talked about languages and African languages, and we need to build these bridges with the continent, and we need to find ways of creating economic routes, if you'd like, for us to work together in a very efficient way. So this lady, what she's done is to take 10 African nursery rhymes in 10 different African languages. Am I good? Okay, I'm finished soon. In 10 different African languages. And she's also focused on those that are becoming rare. And they're kind of on the threat of disappearance. One being Adongbe, for instance, in Ghana, that is spoken in Ghana. And she's got an audio module with it. So you can actually take the nursery rhyme, press on it, and you will hear the song. And not just what you hear the song, you actually have the lyrics and you have the translation in English and also in French. So we've gone to libraries with it. We've actually we're going to schools with it here in the UK. It's been very, very well received, and she's done a fantastic work. So again, collective economics, she knows that being on the site, she's going to get the target group that she wants. And then what we do from these digital platforms, we go out. So we start to see, for instance, if people can come together and do business together because they have a service, they have matching services or matching skills. And because we know who we're dealing with, it's easy for us just to send a message and say, hey, there's so-and-so, do you want to do business with them? We have a sister in Jamaica who started a travel tour, and we're in talks with her, for instance, to organize groups going to Jamaica, because again, we have these connections and we have people who might not know how to go about going to Jamaica, but we have already this connection. Or we have a sister who's in Togo, who's a Francophone country, and she's kind of, she's got an industry there where she works on a plant called Lufa, where it's Akusa in Togo, and she does sponges with it. And so we're looking at doing a cultural trip with her again, and we can call on the people who are in our community hub and create these experiences. So that's a little bit what Le Binoir is about. We're probably the most competitive because, as I said, the app is free. We only take 10% on the marketplace. And again, I'm going to say, Amazon and so forth is fantastic. It's fantastic when we don't have a lot of capital or we have no capital and you want to put something quickly, have the ebook and they put it out for you. But the royalties are very, very high. Here you have the opportunity to get 90% of the price of your book. And the price and the value of your work. And again, that's the sort of things we have to think when we think about collective economics. We have to start small and we have to be patient with each other and just ensure that we work together so that in time, we're really starting to create wealth. And we're a force to be reckoned with without having to go through outside institutions who are not really necessarily looking out for our interest. So that's Le Binoir, and feel free if you have any questions. I'm trying to see how I can, so I'm done.
Makonnen, you need to unmute.
Oh, sorry. So I was just saying the website, just for people that are listening on Black Culture Radio, just say it one more time and spell it for the people that are listening.
Yes. So now what I'm actually trying to do is to go back to, okay, let me try to come out of this. And let me go back to this part so that I can do that. And I think I'm just trying to maneuver this.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll say, so it's lobbynoir.com. LOBBYNOIR.com. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
it is
okay.
Makonnen.
That's fine. So yeah, just put those details in the Zoom chat. I just wanted to say that just so that people that are on Black Culture Radio listening in case they want to go on the website. I'll just repeat one more time. lobbynoir.com. That is LOBBYNOIR.com. So for those on Black Culture Radio and on Facebook, yeah, that's the website to go on if to check out that directory. So I'm now going to go on to the next author. Thanks, Caro Sika, again, one of the sponsors of the Black Book Show. If you are someone who's interested in sponsoring the Black Book Show, feel free to contact me, info@blackbookshows.com. Right, the next speaker that I'm going to go on to now is Chrislyn Benjamin. So Chrislyn Benjamin, welcome onto the Black Book Show for the first time. I was referred Chrislyn Benjamin by Sandra Smith. So Sandra Smith, rise up to you. I know you're also on the Zoom call and she's been on the Black Book Show, a virtual book tour and radio show and podcast speaking about her book. So if you actually go back to the Black Book Show radio show and podcast, you can see the interviews that I've done with Sandra Smith before. But Chrislyn Benjamin, was also part of the same book with Sandra. Chrislyn Benjamin, welcome to the Black Book Show. Please start by introducing yourself and tell us where you're based, and then go on to tell us all about, the chapter in the book you've got or the anthology.
Thank you. Greetings. I am Chrislyn Benjamin, hailing from the beautiful islands of the Bahamas. I live in Nassau from the island of New Providence. With over 2 decades of experience as a certified HR professional, I am delighted to offer you a glimpse into my contribution to this remarkable anthology. It's my time. Reclaim your dreams and master your health, wealth, and freedom. I had the privilege of collaborating with Les Brown, author, motivational speaker, well-known television and radio personality, and James McNeil, the author of Pure Spiritual Intelligence and the founder of the Dream Life Community. Together with 11 other contributors, we sought to inspire change in It's My Time. And as you mentioned earlier, yes, Sandra Smith was one of the 11 persons who took part in the anthology. Have you ever found yourself halfway up a ladder only to realize it's leaning against the wrong wall? This question struck me like a lightning bolt as I stood at the crossroads of my own career. My chapter, as is entitled, Am I Climbing the Right Ladder?, is more than an inspiring memoir. It is a profound journey through my career transformation. In the face of harsh criticisms from my boss, a moment that could have shattered my spirit, I chose a different path. Instead of letting humiliation and discouragement deter me, I pursued a career that ignited a genuine passion within me. In this book, I aim to inspire, motivate, and empower readers to scrutinize their careers, their career paths, and make a conscious decision about their dreams and aspirations. You see, the journey was not without challenges, but at its core, I became my own biggest cheerleader, encouraged by a dedicated professor. In life, we always need someone to be our mentor, someone to help us along the way, someone to encourage us when we are feeling that we can't go on or we don't have what it takes to go on. That led me to ponder 3 pivotal questions. When, how, and what it takes to find clarity during a career transition. This book is not filled with complex theories or isolated ideals. It is grounded in everyday moments, the challenges we face, and the small victories we achieve. And yes, we have to celebrate our small victories. Oftentimes we celebrate others, but we have to celebrate ourselves. That's just the beginning. In my book, I provide a comprehensive roadmap for changing careers for persons who are over 30, who went off to school to study a particular profession and now have decided that's not what I really want. That's what my parents wanted me to do. I want to do something different. And so I have a roadmap for changing careers, brimming with invaluable, simple wisdom. It's a conversation. It's almost like just sitting down and having that conversation with someone. And the focus in the book was on self-reflection, which serves as the foundation, encouraging you to explore what truly ignites your passion. Setting clear, achievable goals becomes the bedrock of this transformation. aligning your ambitions with your personal interests, values, and skills. Yes, your personal values and skills. Patience. In all things, we have to have patience. Oftentimes, we want things done like it's a microwave age or era. We need patience. Patience is our best ally, reminding us not to rush the process. It's about personal growth and pursuit of true fulfillment. Looked at self-development, which takes precedence. I encourage you to enhance your soft skills. Attend conferences, workshops, and gain valuable certifications. And as I listened earlier to the other authors, it's forums like that, like this, that encourages us to go on is truly important. It's my first time listening, and I am so happy that I had this opportunity. Embracing a change mindset, that is of utmost importance. We have to change the mindset that we have. A mindset that we can, like I spoke on earlier, grow. A mindset of growth proves to be a secret weapon when navigating career shifts. Envisioning creative possibilities and commitment is important to lifelong learning. That's really essential. Setting SMART goals. I know you hear the term SMART goals all the time, but it is absolutely vital. Specific, make sure they're specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. The book clarifies it all. Lastly, seeking coaching and mentorship support is really important to having an ace up your sleeve for successful career transition. Yes, I had support in that area through mentorship. When my boss said to me that I would never get into the area of human resources, my professor looked at me differently with encouragement, saying to me, you can do it. You can do anything that you put your mind to. And for me, I was passionate about people, and I was passionate about the career of human resources. However, I acknowledge the curveballs that the COVID-19 pandemic threw at the job market. Adapting to shifting circumstances, understanding the evolving employment landscape is all part of the game. Change. We have to be open to change, and the only way we are open to change is through having an open mindset. Throughout my book, I emphasize the journey of career transformation, which is a continuous process. It is not solely about reaching the end goal. It is about treasuring every step along the way. Am I climbing the right ladder? It isn't just a book. It's your empowering guide to sculpturing a new professional path. It is a testament to the power of potential and belief that we all have the capacity to reclaim our dreams. I want you to think of it as having a mentor who's whispering in your ear daily, offering both inspiration and practical advice to navigate your own career transformation. I want to say also that the book, It's My Time, which included Sandra Smith and 10 others and myself, became an Amazon #1 bestseller. So I want to now thank you for the opportunity to share a glimpse of my book with you. and I look forward to the transformative impact it may have on your lives, helping us all to reclaim our dreams in our own unique way. If this overview has sparked a positive change or resonated with you, please consider sharing it with others who may find inspiration within the pages. Thank you.
Okay.
And you can find,
No, I was just going to say where you
find-
can find it, say where where people can buy it from. Yeah.
on Amazon, Amazon.com. I'm going to share the link with you. And the name of the book is Am I Climbing the Right Ladder? So on Amazon.com. My name again is Chrislyn Benjamin from the beautiful islands of the Bahamas.
Okay, thank you very much, Chrislyn. I recently interviewed another author from the Bahamas on my radio show and podcast. So yeah, interesting. So thank you very much. As you said you would, please put the details in the Zoom chat for those in case people want to buy a book, they can get one. I'm now going to go on to the next author. Welcome Brian as well to the Black Book Show virtual book tour for his first appearance. Brian Simpson. I recently interviewed him on the Black Books Radio Show and podcast, and that will be coming out soon. But Brian, welcome to this episode of the Black Book Show virtual book tour in collaboration with Auntie Jean's African Culture Market. Please start by introducing yourself very briefly, tell us where you're based, and then go on to tell us all about the book you've written.
Thank you so much. It's an honor and a privilege I consider it to be here with you all. Again, as Makonnen said, my name is Brian Simpson. I'm originally from a small town in Florida, right outside of Daytona Beach called New Smyrna Beach. A lot of times I just say that I'm from Daytona because a lot of people haven't heard of New Smyrna Beach. So I'm from the Central Florida area, but I grew up in a military home. And so by the time I was 16, I had lived in about 5 different states on both the East and West Coast. Attended college in Oklahoma, and now I am based out of the San Francisco Bay Area in Northern California. And so again, it's a pleasure to be here with everyone. My book, it's a work of fiction. It's a novel. It's entitled Alex Archer, Town Secrets, or Town Secrets and Alex Archer Adventure is how it's titled on the book cover, but on platforms, it's Alex Archer Town Secrets. And it's the book is here, and it is a book that deals with the dangers of human trafficking faced by women in the Black community, not just in America, but nationwide, or I'm sorry, worldwide, internationally as well. And just decided to really speak on a couple of really the 3 main points that are questions that I'm asked when asked about the book. I've been blessed to speak at several colleges and universities and events across the country about my book and the dangers of human trafficking. And so there are 3 questions that I tend to get when I'm asked about the book. And the first one is the inspiration for the book. And what inspired me to write this book, to use my talents to write the book, was a statistic that I heard. I think I heard the statistic back in about 2017. And what I had heard was that as of that year, there were, I believe it was 64,000 missing Black women in America. And no one was talking about it. No one at all. No one was talking about it. And that disturbed me. Of course, being a Black man here in America, growing up in the Black community, my mother's Black, sister who passed away, God rest her soul, is Black. I'm thinking that was really disturbing, that someone's mother, possibly someone's aunt, someone's favorite cousin, whatever, could be missing, and it's not getting any publicity, any press. And I contrasted that to the response that you receive here in America if a person of the Caucasian persuasion was missing. A lot of times there would be, and not in every case, just to be objective, but there would be several cases when a young white woman or a white girl would go missing, and it was nationwide news. It was national news. It was on every news outlet. It was on social media. It was everywhere. Please help find whomever. But there were 64,000 Black women, and that wasn't going on for one of them. And so, you know, I had been wanting to write a book at the time, and that was really that's what drew me to write the book. You know, I've written since I was a kid. I would make up stories and write them, but I would never really share them. And so around that time, I had decided that I would no longer sit on any God-given talents that I had, that I would begin to use them. And so I said, I'm going to write a book that's going to delve into this issue. And so I began to research it and look into it. And a lot of the things that I found, and I'll get to this a little bit later, in researching it was very staggering. It was very staggering and very disturbing, what I had discovered as far as missing Black women in America and abroad. You know, well, what's abroad to me? I know that I'm talking to a lot of people across the globe, but and that kind of takes me to the inspiration for the character. I had actually been developing the character, Alex Archer. A lot of times when people see the character, they kind of ask, is it based off of me? And so I'll kind of address that a little bit. Yes and no. There are parts from my life that I do borrow and put into the character, but there are lots of things about the character that is very, very different from me. The character is a pilot. He's a retired Air Force pilot. I've never flown a plane in my life. So, but he's a well-traveled person who just kind of wants to just live a normal life, live a good life, but he kind of tends to be the type of person who he runs into situations, not intentionally, but he runs into them, and instead of avoiding them, he chooses to address them, to handle them. And I wanted him to be that type of character for a couple of reasons. I wanted there to be a positive image of Black men in media of some form. I don't know about abroad, what's abroad to me again, in the UK or in, you know, the various countries in Africa who have been tuning in the Caribbean, but images of Black men here in America tend to be very negative, be it in music, be it on television. They're very negative views that are put out about us. And so I wanted to do my part as an author to put an image of a Black man who is not super violent. He's not hypersexualized. He's just a good guy, a good, intelligent, professional man who steps up when called upon. And so I didn't want him to be this quote unquote badass guy that just, you know, did something, that just ran around and just beating people up. But I wanted him to use his mind and use his hands when he needed to. And so that's kind of how Alex is when you delve into the character. I'll just kind of read the back of the book, and just to kind of give you the overall premise of the book. It says, Alex is a newly retired Air Force pilot who is excited about his post-retirement life. Eager to get back to his hometown, he hits the road as soon as he drops his retirement papers. Amid the fun of reconnecting with family and old friends, it becomes clear to Alex that something bad is happening in Patrician, Florida. Is the dream retirement that Alex has envisioned for so long really a nightmare? Alex is faced with perhaps the most menacing decision of his life: enjoy the retirement that he has worked long and hard for, or confront the seedy and sordid underworld that is engulfing Patrician. The decision he makes could mean life or death for several people, including himself. Would you answer a cry for help from the dark? So just kind of in a nutshell, he meets a young lady who he finds is in trouble. And of course, as you know now, she had been trafficked, but when he goes back to check on her again, she's disappeared. And so he's confronted with, what does he do now that he knows she's in trouble once again? And so him being the type of character that I did develop, he's a person that does kind of go into action. And so the last part that I wanted to discuss was the key message for the book. You know, kind of a lot of things that people ask me concerning it is, what key message do I want the reader to take away? And there are a couple. One of the key messages that I want the reader to take away is human trafficking is a serious problem, and it's happening all over the Black community and the country at large, just to be frank, does not care. And so I want the reader to understand that it's up to us to care, you know, whether you're a teacher, regardless of your vocation, whether you're in business, doesn't matter. We need to care and we need to do something. And another key message that I want people to take away is that there is something that can be done. And the main thing that can be done is, if you see something, say something. You know, oftentimes we will see things that are suspicious, and this is what I had learned from research, is that a lot of times people will see something that looks suspicious to them, that they have questions about, that looks a little shady, but they'll turn and do nothing. And when it comes out that something was going on, i.e., a person is found dead, which unfortunately tends to be the result sometimes of human trafficking. A person turns out to be dead and the person has this epiphany, oh, I knew it. Well, if you knew it, you should have said something. Or if you even thought about it, I mean, you should have said something, because no, you don't want to cause alarm when there's nothing going on. No one wants to do that. No one in their right mind does anyway. But you also don't want to let something occur when you could have been a catalyst to stop it from occurring. Let something horrible happen when you could have been the catalyst to stop it, to bring help to the situation. And that is a fear of mine. Kind of back to the character and how a lot of times how people would ask how he relates to me. I often say that Alex was written to be an ideal. He was written to be an ideal for people who may run into this situation. You know, in the book, without giving a lot of it away, he does go into action, and he, looks to rectify the situation. He's an ideal in that, to me, I would hope that I would do the same thing. It's very easy to say what you would do or what you intend to do, but until it happens. You know, it's kind of like Mike Tyson said back in the day. He said, everyone has a plan until they're punched in the face. And, running into a situation that involved human trafficking, that would definitely be the punch in the face. And so it's like, okay, how would I respond? I would like to think that I would spring into action or do something. And you don't have to necessarily spring into action like the character, but I would like to think that I would spring into action and do something, whatever that something is that I could do to help, excuse me. And another key takeaway that I wanted the readers to have is that there are a lot of misconceptions about what constitutes human trafficking. A lot of times when we hear it, we think of, and it's one of my favorite action movies, was Taken with Liam Neeson. We tend to think that trafficking means that someone is taken and they're transported to some faraway place. For me, that would be over to Europe or possibly the Caribbean or Africa, that they would be taken right there, or to one of those places that are far away to me. But that's not the case. Trafficking actually doesn't, you might not be taken out of your city at all. You might not be taken off of your block. You might just be forced to do something that you are not wanting to do, something that you would not do of your own accord. And so I wanted people to take away the fact that trafficking happens all the time, lots of times right under our noses, and goes ignored. I'm sorry. There was one case, as a matter of fact, and this goes back to the majority of our country here in America not caring when it comes to Black women going missing. There was a case in Kansas City where a woman had, it was a white woman, she was sitting just on her couch during the day, just watching The Price is Right or something, and she gets this frantic knock at the door. And she answers the door, and there's a woman that has obvious ligatures around her wrists and her ankles, and she had like a collar of some sort around her neck, and she's like, "Please let me in." The woman lets her in, and she's like, "What is going on with you?" She says, "I'm calling the police." The woman says, "Please don't. He'll come. He'll kill us both." And come to find out, she was referring to a man in her neighborhood, in that very neighborhood, who had kidnapped her and put her in his sex dungeon underneath his house. And she said she was so nervous about her calling because he had already killed her friend. And that's disturbing enough, but the part that disturbed me the most was the fact that this person's family had gone to the police, and they said, I believe it was their daughter or aunt or something, she's missing and she needs to be found. And the police brushed it off. She's probably just out. She probably just didn't tell you guys, phones off, all kinds of crap that they would not tell people of another persuasion.
Okay, Brian, can you just take a minute to wrap it up?
Sure, I'm so sorry. So I just wanted people to take away the fact that this happens all the time. It's very prevalent, a lot more prevalent than we would imagine. You can find this book on my website at theauthorbriansimpson.com. That's theauthorbriansimpson.com again. And it's also available online with Amazon. It's available at Books A Million. You can get it on Kindle. It's also available at Barnes & Noble and just anywhere online books are sold. Thank you again so much. I didn't mean to run long. Okay, just repeat the name of the book. Yes, it's Town Secrets, an Alex Archer adventure, or you can just say Alex Archer Town Secrets. That's where you can find it. Okay, thank you very much, Brian. Please put the details of the book in the chat as well, in case someone wants to purchase it. Put in the Zoom chat. Right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go on to the next author. That's Chrislyn Gonsalves. So, Chrislyn, welcome to the Black Book Show virtual book tour for the first time. Please start by giving a brief introduction about yourself. Tell us where you're based, and then go on to tell the audience all about the book that you've written.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chrislyn Gonsalves. I'm speaking to you from Toronto, Ontario, in Canada. This is my book here, Black History Worldwide, Me, as Canadian women of influence. It looks like I'm frozen. Okay. I was born and raised in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. My mom was born in Jamaica. She came to Canada or Toronto. That's why I live outside of Toronto. So she came to Toronto in 1956. My father is from Bermuda, and he came to Toronto in 1950. So my family has been in Canada for 70 plus years at this point. When I was growing up, there was nobody that looked like me. We lived in a white middle class neighborhood. I was actually the first Black kid in my school back then. So I made history. And it's ironic because now the principal of that school is Black. Anyway, it wasn't until I got to high school that I started seeing people that looked like me. And most of those kids had come from the Caribbean wave of immigrants. So although I was born here Most of my friends and that were from the Caribbean. So yes, there are Black people in Canada. I'm still amazed at the amount of people that have no clue and still think that Canada does not have Black people, but yes, we are here. Before I get into my book, I want to give a little bit of background of Black history in Canada. The first recorded free Black person to step into Canada was someone called Matthew da Costa, and that was between 1603, 1608. So we're talking like 400 years. He acted as a translator for a French explorer to Canada. There's been several waves of Black people coming into Canada. In the 1700s, there was the whole New France and later on Quebec of enslaved people. There was the American Revolution in the 1700s, where many from the enslaved people from the US came up to Canada. Canada was still British, and the ones that came here were given the promise of free land and freedom, which didn't necessarily happen, but that's a different story. I haven't got time to go into every single wave, but I wanted to give you an idea and a background of some of the Black history of Canada. The Maroons from the Caribbean came in the 1700s, and Dr. Austin had mentioned some of these things, the first speaker here today. Then, of course, the Underground Railroad, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, including people like Harriet Tubman. They helped bring enslaved people up to Canada, which had gained freedom earlier than the US. And then in the early 1900s, in parts of Canada, like Alberta, Manitoba area, Saskatchewan, the Midwest US and the Southern US, many farmers came up north and established themselves as farmers in Canada. So this day, there are many US descendants that live here that were back, related to those people who came in the early 1900s. So we're going to go forward a little bit. I'm going to skip a few years. There was a point in time where in Canada, it was hard to come to Canada if you were Black. And it wasn't just Black people, it was if you were non-white, it was hard to get in here. So there were some strict laws. In 1962, the laws were lifted and they allowed Black people, other types of people to come into the country. It kind of coincides with the British Empire and the terminating of the British Empire in other parts, the colonial countries. By the 1960s, 15,000 people from the Caribbean had come to Toronto specifically. And then between 1950 and 1995, 300,000 Black people came to Canada. My mother and father would have been in, the 1950s is when they came. Today, the current wave of Black people coming to Canada are the Africans. Now we have a lot of Africans from the African continent that are coming to Canada. So I've given you just a little snippet, a little background of Canada. So now, if you ever hear anybody say that, is there Black people in Canada? You can put them in their place and say, yes, there are Black people in Canada. So why did I create this book? You see this book here, I don't know if you can see clearly, but it's got these 10 circles, have 10 faces of 10 women that are highlighted in my book. And you'll see that the map of Canada and the Canadian maple leaf is the background. I grew up in Canada in a time when, again, like I mentioned, there wasn't many people that looked like me. Sometimes I wish I could take the memories out of my head and show people. My father, being here in the 50s, can tell you places that you weren't allowed to go and eat. You weren't allowed to go if you were Black. To this day, he won't go to some of those places because he remembers. When I was a kid growing up, you'd see a Black person. It's opposite today. Today, Toronto is a very multicultural city. It's opposite. When we moved into our house in the 1960s, like I said, there was no one that looked at us. Now it's the opposite. You're lucky if you see a white person in parts of Toronto. So Black people have come a long way, but my concern is that the younger generation either doesn't know or will forget. Now, I'm seeing a lot more of Black people doing better, more things, better things, bigger things, because we're more here. There's more opportunities now. But I really wanted to showcase some people that I hope are never forgotten, or that just put them out there. So that was my reason for writing this book. Actually, it's a coloring book, activity book, geared for age 10 and up. It focuses on 10 Black women across Canada, somewhere in British Columbia, Montreal and Quebec, Toronto, but it's all across. There are Black history societies and Black groups all the way up into Nunavut, which is up in the Arctic area. There's Black people, every province, north, south, west, and east in Canada. This book, I'll just kind of flip you through a little bit, hope you can see it. Oops. This is my mom. That's one of the persons in the book. I'm going to talk about her. So every woman, then there's, a little biography of every person, word search for every person, and then a bunch of QR codes where you can actually use your camera and go on and look at all these YouTube videos. One person I want to focus on is my mom, Eva Smith. Like I said, she came here in 1956. She's from Jamaica. She was a trained dental technician. They had something called the domestic scheme. Remember, they didn't want us coming here. But in 1955, the domestic scheme was developed where if you came here as a domestic and worked for 1 year as a domestic, after that year, you were able to stay in Canada. So she decided to take advantage of that program. She got married, had me and my sister. While she was raising us, she took courses, college courses. She became an active community worker at a high school. She was a youth worker. She was very strongly involved with the Saturday school program for kids, upgrading and things like that. She was very concerned about the youth in Toronto, any youth, right? Not just Black youth, but any youth, but particularly Black youth. So today, there are 3 locations in Toronto called Eva's Place. My mom's name was Eva Smith. So now Eva's Place, there's 3 locations today. They offer youth shelters for you, homeless youth. And while they're there, there's training, employment training, all kinds of things to get them back on their feet. My mother was involved in a national film board film called Older, Stronger, and Wiser. One of the other ladies that are highlighted in my book are also in that film. There's also a book about her called My Name is Eva. So that's my short blurb. I really want to get it out there. One of my pet peeves, like I said, is that people think there's no Black people in Canada. There are, and a lot of them have worked hard. In my introduction, let me just read this. I dedicate this book to those who came before us, men and women who braved the times they were in. They pushed upward and onward. Those brave people created legacies for future generations, for those of us who will never completely understand the obstacles and what it took to become what you were destined to become. So this is my book, my coloring activity book for kids, adults, anybody, even I like to color. I will put in the chat, the links. The links are for Amazon Canada, Amazon US, Amazon in UK. And I also have a Facebook page called Black History Worldwide. Also Etsy. I've just uploaded the book on Etsy this past weekend, so you can also get a digital copy if you choose. That's all about me. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, great. And can you just mention the title of the book as well, and your name, just for people that are listening on watching on Facebook and listening via Black Culture Radio?
Okay, the title of the book is Black History Worldwide presents Canadian Women of Influence. My name is Christine Smith Gonsalves. See it? There you go. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll put it on.
Thank you very much, Christine. I'm now going to go on to the next speaker on the Black Book Show. So the next speaker is Sister Lejet. Sister Lejet from Nubian the Gifts Books. She is one of the sponsors of the Black Book Show, and she's also a bookseller. So, Sister Lejet, please come on and tell us all about what you do.
Okay, greetings. Let me come up quickly. Okay, can you see me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Greetings, everyone. It's great to be back on live on the Black Book Show. Yes, as Prince Makonnen said, I am a sponsorer, but mainly I am a bookseller. So because it's Black History Month, we don't really believe in a month, we believe in 365 days. I like to recommend books that you can read and acknowledge the authors, etc. Now, there's one that I want to show tonight, and it's called How to Unlock Your Genius Using Black History. And this is available from me or from Simon Education, and he's got courses. So as the previous author was talking about those Blacks in Canada, which is going to be so interesting. Yes, there's a lot of Black people in United Kingdom, because when I traveled to America, they were like, really? Because they think that we're in the Victorian times. A lot of people, it's amazing, but we are here. And as I've got a short time to talk, what I would like to say to the authors is that just continue doing your great works, because as Brian done his talk, because I found it was absolutely fantastic. So what I'd like, if you'd like me to stock your books, I will put into the chat my details, and then we take it from there. And as I said, it's Black History Month, so try and go to as many events as you can as authors and get your work out there. There's some authors that I know, they don't go out at all. So it's like me being the forefront, and in order to represent yourself and your book. So this is what I do, and I love it and I enjoy. I've been doing this for a number of years now. And of course I have Makonnen's books as well. So as it's such a short time, I will literally show you another book, which is quite important. It's knowledge about Pan-Africanism. So this one is talking about how we as Africans abolished the slave trade. This one's about an outlook on liberation. And then this one is the battlefront. African freedom means defeating neo-colonialism. And with so much that is happening now in the world, with the wars and, for example, China going into Africa, etc., it's really good to know about Pan-Africanism and how it can help you. Makonnen, have I gone over my time?
You can keep going. I'll let you know. You can keep going. It's fine. I'll let you know.
Oh, okay. Right. I travel as well, and one of the things that I will be doing is having books in different languages. Now, we as African people, we're all languages. However, I'm going to concentrate language. So for example, I went to Cuba and they speak Spanish. And so I was looking for books dedicated to the Afro-Cubans. And I found a really good book because there were Rastas out there. And I got a book on the history, the culture of Rastafari in Cuba. So it's in Spanish, and I'll try and say the title properly. Some people can correct me, but it's La Cultura Rastafari en Cuba. And I just feel that it's important that we know the history that's taken place in different countries. And of course, like Christine said before me about our Black people who are in Canada, and the little synopsis that she broke down, I thought, wow, that was fantastic. because, you know, we're here and we don't know much about our family members in Canada. So it's been a great journey and getting to know the authors, your individual books. And my niche is the British authors, because a lot of our books, when, you know, I was growing up, majority were from America. There's nothing wrong with that. It's been absolutely wonderful. But now we have our sections, and it's improving to get known about the Black authors that are here. And I just have to say, well done, Brother Makonnen. You know, I call him Prince Makonnen. Well done for having this Black book show, because it helps, because we would not know of each other, of all the authors that are around the world. And also I have to thank Auntie Jean as well for having the collaboration. And it's just absolutely great meeting all of you from your respective countries. And it's a beautiful thing that we have Zoom, that so we can not only hear each other, we can actually see each other as well. So one more book, let me see if I can, yeah, I cover my books with plastic, so just to protect it as well. Right, this is an author, and she is a dermatologist, and she found that there was no books talking about Black hair. What she'd done is a great book, 8 Weeks for Longer Hair, and it's coming from someone who is in the UK, which is nice, because majority of the Black books on hair is from America. So it's a nice combination. And her second book here is the Transitioner's Handbook, Go Natural in 5 Easy Steps. And this book is by Dr. Lola Akimbola, a beautiful lady as well, very pleasant and very hardworking. And I'm very, very grateful that she actually has done a book on hair, because we've had a recent issue in the United Kingdom. But in saying that, the hair industry is something that I'm going to go and look into and get some books on it and bring it forward. So who knows, I might be an author, not for now, but sometime in the near future. So yeah, I'll get myself for one of the courses as well. The first book I actually showed, I meant to say that there are courses, and you can go online and join up. And I've been on many of the courses with Simon Education, and there are people from the Americas online as well. So all I have to say is, you are all beautiful and you all write in your own genre, and just keep doing what you do best. It's just wonderful to actually sit down and read some of your books as well. So bear with me, because some of you have sent your books over from America, and you know, I have read some of your books, so I just need to have time to do feedback. However, if you'd like to get in contact with me, what I will do, I will put my details in the chat, and then we can correspond and take it from there. So as I said, I am planning to have more books written by us, or if they're not Afro or African, Caribbean as well, it doesn't matter. The topic has to be pertaining to us. So my books will be from different languages, Portuguese, Spanish, French, and all that, but from a Black perspective. Okay, Makonnen, how am I doing?
If you just wrap it up, tell people where they can contact you from.
Okay, right. I'm on Instagram, Nubian Nigis Books. You can contact me on Instagram, and also you can email me, because I have to just sort out my website. And it's Nubian Nigis, NUBIANNIGIST Books, BOOKS7 @gmail.com. And I'll put my phone number in the chat as well. So yet again, as I say, Prince Makonnen, thank you very, very much. You've been very supportive to me as well, you know, the encouragement, and we go way back when in Luton. So I've just seen you grow from strength to strength, and it's just been awesome. So if you all want to go to Gambia, get Brother Makonnen's book. It's really, really great. I have to give you back the feedback, brother. But as I said, just continue doing your great works, because we have to leave a legacy. And I'm all about legacy. And we don't want, especially in the United Kingdom, we don't want them to say, oh, you was only here 100 years ago. No, we want to leave a legacy to say that we were here in 2023 and beyond. I'm going to wrap it up, put my information in, and do not hesitate. Please, please, just contact me. It doesn't matter what time. Just email me and we take it from their authors. I'm very, very greedy, because I like to have books that are different from the other Black book, booksellers as well. So take care, and I'm going to wrap up, and I hope to see you next month on the webinar as well. Makonnen, I've finished, and thank you very much, and Auntie Jean as well.
Okay, thank you very much. That's Sister Lejet from Nubian Nagis Books, who I've known for many, many years now. Yeah, so Sister Lejet. So feel free to contact her if you're interested in getting your book sold by her. She's going to put her details in the Zoom chat as well. And yes, thank you as well for being one of the sponsors of the Black Books show. Right, I'm now going to go on. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm now going to go on to the next speaker, who's another sponsor of the Black Book Show, and yeah, I very much appreciate the support that she gives, Bharti Dhir. So Bharti, and you know, I literally was just on Facebook and I saw a lovely photo of you with author Pamela R. Haynes, and it must have been an event that you was at maybe yesterday, Bharti. But Pamela R. Haynes is another author that I know that's been on this platform. In fact, Pamela was on the first Black Book Show that I did all the way back in May 2020. It was known as the Black Books webinar then. But I saw a lovely photo of you, and you know, me and Pam always stay in contact from time to time. And yeah, hopefully I should be seeing you next week at the Black Book Festival. And it would be great to meet you in person for the first time, because we always, you know, connect over Zoom and you know, social media. So Bharti, you know, for those who don't know you, please, you know, tell us, you know, introduce yourself, tell us, you know, who you are, where you're based, and then go on to tell us, you know, all about your book Worth.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for the honor of being here again, Makonnen and Auntie Jean, Black Culture Market. Thank you so much for inviting me again. I just want to, first of all, show you a picture of my book. This is called Worth. And if I just explain a bit about myself, you'll understand why I called the book Worth. So my origin is I am Black, Asian. So I was found abandoned on a roadside in Kabale in Uganda, and was subsequently adopted by an Asian Indian family, hence my name, Bharti Dhir. And currently I live in England in a small town called Reading, and I work in child protection. So my book is called Worth. It's just a short introduction to say to you that when I grew up, obviously I am of dual heritage. I'm part Black, part Asian, as I said. And I grew up with, as a child, hearing messages about negative messages or prejudices about illegitimacy, because obviously I was considered illegitimate. Nobody knew who my parents were or what my background was. I grew up with messages around sexism because my parents were berated for adopting a girl. People were saying she's a burden. The other thing that I grew up with was messages around racism. So being part African, a lot of the Indians in the community rejected me because I was half African and did not consider me to be worthy enough to even be in the community. But then I also had racism from the Africans because they considered me to be an Asian. So it was just trying to find and navigate my way through that identity and sense of worth as to who I actually was and what was I. And then we had colorism. So in my book, I've written about sort of comparing myself to Western and Eastern ideas of beauty and finding myself wanting, you know, either I was too dark for the Asians, I was too black for the whites, and for some of the Africans, I was too Indian. So, you know, it was just that I found myself wanting. I was constantly comparing myself to ideas of beauty and didn't actually know where I fitted in. So all of these experiences had a sense, had an impact on my sense of worth. And I felt it was really important to highlight to the communities out there that, you know, when we're children growing up, and my book is very much written from a child's perspective initially, as I'm growing through, sort of trying to make sense of everything. I wanted to highlight to the communities and to families that sometimes we make throwaway remarks that we think children hear, and we think that it doesn't impact on the children's sense of worth or self-esteem. And it really does. When the messages go in and you process some of those negative messages about who you are or what you're meant to be, and if they're negative messages, you end up having a real lack of self-worth. And so I just wanted to talk about my journey worth and how I actually ended up growing, developing my sense of worth after many, many years. And I would say I'm going to give my age away. I'm actually 63, and I actually started developing my sense of worth and being proud of who I was, which was a Black woman, round about in my 30s, and actually beginning to appreciate that I was created unique by God and that I am a unique and special being, and I have a right, just as much as everybody else, to be on this earth. And I have a purpose, and the purpose is to highlight the prejudices that impact on a child's worth, or the prejudices that impact on an adult's worth, which can be long-lasting and traumatic. So I just want to finish by talking about some of the affirmations in my book, and I'm just going to read them out. So one of them is, my worth says that every negative experience is a flame. When I refuse to give it air, it is extinguished and has no power over me. And then worth is accepting and celebrating who I am. Worth is holding a mirror to myself and not comparing myself to others. And then the last one I want to say is, every time I raise my voice against an injustice meted out to me or someone else, I water the seeds of my worth. So Worth is available on Amazon in the UK and the USA as well, and Canada. It's also available in the UK in Waterstones. And I definitely know Sister Lejet has got copies of my book as well. And also, so that's Nubian Nijist bookstore. I also know that it's available in independent bookstores, and it's available online on Hive. I think it's called Hive, the Hive online bookstore. So I just want to say thank you for your support. I am on Instagram as Bharti Dhir, with just my name, BHARTI DHIR. I'm also on Facebook. Do follow me on my website. I'm www.bhartidhir.com. So I just want to say thank you very much again, and hopefully see some of you at the Black Book Show next week. Black Book Fair next week.
British Black Book Festival. That's what I think. That's what they are. British. Black British Book Festival. Yeah, Black British Book Festival, I think it's called. Yeah. So join us there. I'm hoping to attend both the days of the Saturday and the Sunday, but I'll definitely be there on the Saturday. Right. What I'm gonna go on to now before we just wrap up is to speak about an upcoming event that I'm going to be at. So I'm just going to share my screen. So this is also an event. It's at Fulham Library. As you can see, the picture of me and the cover of my latest book, Experiences of Living Across Africa, which I talked about just very, very, very briefly earlier, along with my other books. When I get going, you know, I could be on the Zoom for the whole 3 hours talking about, you know, talking for those who, you know, have conversations with on the phone or know about it. But Experiences of Living Across Africa, I will be doing a special speech about the book at Fulham Library. That is on this Wednesday, the 25th of October, between 5:30 and 6:30. So if you are in the area or if you want to come down to meet me and hear me talk about my book, and also you can get a signed copy of the book because I will be signing copies there at the Fulham Library. So join us at Fulham Library as myself, Makonnen Sankofa, talks about my new book, Experiences of Living Across Africa, which is an anthology that highlights the journey of African descendants from different walks of life who have made the transition of relocating from the diaspora to Africa. It also has the experience of the journey of African nationals who have moved from one African country to another African country, but the majority of the people are those of African descent from the diaspora who are returning home to the continent. Makonnen Sankofa is an international best-selling author, founder of the Black Book Show, coach and book publisher. As I mentioned, I'll be speaking about my new book, Experiences of Living Across Africa, as well as signing copies. In that book, I do share my experiences, my personal experiences of living in Ghana and the Gambia. I also give useful information and advice about things to consider when moving to Africa. And then you have the other contributors and authors of the book who have written their own individual chapters about different African countries. And then there's also some of the people, a few of the people I interviewed, and then I turned the audio, I transcribed the audio into text from the interviews that I did. The book was, you know, wholly put on by me. It was my idea that came together that I wanted to do an anthology. So, you know, for people that are moving to our African country, or they can have more understanding or experience about the countries in Africa, and also things to consider when you're going onto the continent. There's a lot of things that are relevant in all or most of those African countries combined. Too much to speak about now, but it could even be, you know, simple things about rent. You know, in a lot of people are common in England or America, month to month rent. In a lot of African countries, rent is like a year up front, 6 months up front. There's a lot, I mean, electricity cuts or, you know, power shortages, what to do in those situations, shipping, you know, if you're shipping a car or shipping possessions, you know, many information in there, you know, how to, you know, draw out money from, best ways to draw out money when you're abroad from like your bank account or your American bank account, you know, how to network with people and several things. But that book, yeah, you know, is a central read, I'll say, for people looking to move. Also, you know, for people, if you want to go on holiday and find out a nice place to go, you know, a nice African country to go to, you can look at that book. Or if you've just got a general interest, you know, in finding out more about the culture, customs, and experiences of life in Africa, particularly from those from the diaspora that were born and raised here, that have now you know, gone relocated to Africa. So country covers in the book by the other contributors, because I've covered Ghana and the Gambia. You have Ethiopia, Rwanda, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Senegal, Egypt, Tanzania, Sierra Leone, Kenya, Nigeria, and Zimbabwe. And I wanted to have a wide selection of African countries. I know many of us go to like the Gambia or Ghana or those countries in West Africa, or maybe South Africa, but I also wanted it to have, you know, other countries that I've mentioned. There's also Tunisia as well, but, you know, Tunisia, Egypt, you know, North, South, East, and as well as West Africa. So Experiences of Living Across Africa. Join me on Wednesday, the 25th of October, between 5:30 and 6:30. I will be at the Fulham Library. Now we're wrapping up, coming to a conclusion of the Black Book Show. Peter Okonkwo, I was going to be joined with him, but he's unavailable at the moment. But he'll be back on the Black Book Show soon in the future, I'm sure. Join the Black Book Show Facebook group, the Black Book Facebook group. If you just put the Black Book Show, it will come up. You know, you'll see here's the logo of the Black Book Show. You know you're on the right place when you've seen that logo, and then you can scroll down and it's got, you know, tons of information about events coming up. But my radio show, information about my radio show tomorrow on Luton Urban Radio between 8 and 10 p.m. Info will be posted in there, and also my radio show next Saturday on Galaxy between 6 and 8 p.m. But general updates about the Black Book Show, including virtual book tours and information about authors. That's the best place to go. Also, the video of the virtual book tour is streamed live from the Facebook group, so you will be able to, you know, after the Zoom call, go back on Facebook and see the video there. The video will be uploaded on YouTube as well, but you will be able to see the video on Facebook. On Facebook as well after the show, after Auntie Jean's African Culture Market has finished. So after this finished, there will be Auntie Jean's African Culture Market. So after the whole show, Auntie Jean's African Culture Market is finished, then you can go back and you'll be able to watch the Black Book Show virtual book tour on Facebook. And also the Black Book Show website, blackbookshows.com. Go on blackbookshows.com. And if you select virtual book tours, you'll be able to also catch up with, you know, previous editions of the Black Book Shows. If you want to watch the Black Book Show, the replay of this particular episode quicker, the best place will probably to watch it quicker is to go on the Facebook. But it does go on the website, but normally it goes on the website a bit later, and that links into P English Literature YouTube channel. So all the videos of the Black Book Show get uploaded onto P English Literature YouTube channel, which they've got 7,000 subscribers. So you can see here was the one, you know, for September. And normally we get between 1,000 and 2,000 views on the YouTube channel. So yeah, also speak to me. I work in collaboration. P English Literature is a partner company of the Black Book Show. You know, we collaborate together. So if you're interested in going on the Black Book Show virtual book tour, the radio show and podcast, or P English Literature, or all of them, you know, we have a package we can do, and we can discuss more about that if you want more book promotion. Feel free to also check out podcasts of previous authors that have been on the Black Book Show in terms of their interviews. If you scroll down to the bottom, there's a part where it says click this link to listen to other previous podcasts, and then it will take you to Spotify, where you can listen to you know, editions of the Black Book Show podcast. These are basically authors I've interviewed in depth. I've done a one-to-one interview for which has been on the radio show, and now they also go onto the podcast, which is on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts. One of the interviews I did recently, which was really good, interviewed the Black History man Robin Walker. And to stay in contact with me, or if you would like to, you know, send me a message regarding this episode of the Black Book Show, or feedback, or if you would like to, your author who would like to be a part of the Black Book Show, or you would like to sponsor the Black Book Show, go onto the contact us section of the website, and then just fill in the form with your name, email address, and leave a message regarding the message. You know, whatever that message is that you want to send to me. So we are concluding the Black Book Show now, but I'm just going to go to Auntie Jean very quickly before she comes back to me in conclusion of the Black Book Show. So Auntie Jean, was there anything that you wanted to say just before we close?
Oh, sorry. Yes. Just that if any of the authors would like to come on to either the Garvey Village or the African Culture Market to elaborate more on your book, then please do join me. You can get your my number from Makonnen, but I will give it as 07961 86032. And this session will be repeated on Black Culture Radio on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. GMT time. So if you missed it or you can't catch up on the old Facebook, which will be on the Auntie Jean's African Culture Market on the old Facebook, and also on Makonnen's site. Makonnen will tell you where you can get or hear or watch the actual this evening's session. But thank you everybody for all coming. It's absolutely been wonderful. Makonnen?
Yes, I'm just going to conclude now. I'm just going to share my screen quickly because someone's asked me how much is my book. So the book is all of my books are $14.99 actually. Unless sometimes Amazon, they put them down a bit, but they should all be $14.99 on Amazon. I'm just going to get up there the link. I assume, Caro Sika, you're talking about experiences of living across Africa, because I saw the message when I was talking just then. But yeah, the book in paperback, Experiences of Living Across Africa, is $14.99 on Amazon. If you want the ebook, which is the Kindle edition, you can get it for $9.99. If you want a signed copy of the book, then you can send me, Sika, you've got my number, so you can send me a message and I can send you the link where you can get a signed copy of the book. But if you're buying it through Amazon, then the price of the signed copy is the same one that I post out, if you're UK anyway. But the it's $14.99 in answer to your question. And then the other books I've written, you know, they're all available on Amazon. Experiences of Living Across Africa, How to Market and Sell Your Book, A Guide for Beginners, Life in Gambia, The Smiling Coast of Africa, and The Rise of Rastafari Resistance, Redemption, and Repatriation. They're all available. In fact, at the moment, Life in Gambia, The Smiling Coast of Africa, they've put on special offer for $12.99. Sometimes they do it on Amazon, where they reduce the price of your book, but they offer you the same royalties. So yeah, that's where my books can be available to be purchased for those who are listening. But I would like to just take this time to say thank you for all those who are joining the Black Book Show in collaboration with Auntie Jean's African Culture Market, the authors and people that have listened and watched. I hope you've enjoyed the show, and to please join us next month for the next edition of the Black Book Show. Auntie Jean, are you continuing with the Auntie Jean's African Culture Market after this, or is this a conclusion of the whole?
No, it will be a conclusion. So I'll just be saying good night to all those who's been listening via the Black Culture Radio. You're listening to the Auntie Jean's own Black Culture Radio, which is all the W's, blackcultureradio.com. And also good night, I said, and thank you for joining us, those who's listening by the DAB in Ireland. And also for the same those who's been watching by the old Facebook. I'd like to say good night and thank you from myself and also from you.
Yeah, so good night, everyone. And Facebook, you'll be able to see the recording of the show, basically, as soon as this Zoom closes. So if you do want to watch the recording, it'll be on the Black Book Show's Facebook group. So yeah, goodbye, everyone. And yeah, I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their evening or afternoon, wherever they are based in the world. So goodbye.